Hello and welcome
Hey.
to another episode of Wiley vs. Mitch. You know, this was not intentional, and I just realized today that when you say Wiley vs. Mitch, you're also saying Wiley verse. So that worked out well. Today, well, first off, I guess we should talk about what is Wiley vs. Mitch. Wiley vs. Mitch is a show where we explore a new game every week. We explain the setting, we go through character creation, we do a couple of encounters. I run it, Mitch asks the questions, makes the character, plays the character, and then I kill him with something way overpowered to kind of show what the end game progression is like.
So I'm fairly new to RPGs. We've been playing for about 2 years now, but the more we play, the more I realize that we are newer. I keep asking him, are we still beginners? And he's like, yep, absolutely. So I thought this would be a fun idea to get an overview of a game, learn the lore, learn the character creation, and then what would happen if you played a couple of campaigns in a row or a couple of sessions and got yourself up to level 10 or 12 or 15 or whatever. Sometimes we have time to level me up, which is fun, but other times it's just he just makes a big character and just murders me, which is what happened last week.
Fun.
It was fun. I got a couple shots at it.
Didn't do anything. You did go through the armor. Last week we did the Expanse RPG, and the very first session we ran was Vampire the Masquerade 4th Edition.
Yeah. That one was really interesting. And these are fun for me too, because some of these, like, we're going to play Earthdawn today. I just learned. I'm sure I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it, so I'm kind of interested to learn. So you guys can learn along with us.
Sorry, I got to get the social medias out.
It's all right. Forgive my gimp hand. I cut a piece of it off today. No exaggeration. Part of me wanted to save it. Part of me was like, for what?
All right. So we are exploring Earthdawn, and just to kind of show some things. So here's the player's guide I have for the 4th edition of Earthdawn. I've got the collector's edition. I also have a regular edition of the 4th edition player's guide. It's in a kind of...
Why is it so big? Does it have the GM guide and the creatures and stuff in it?
No, this is the Game Master's Guide, and here's the companion for additional rules.
So why is it so thick then?
Just because it's a smaller format.
Gotcha.
The other thing is that I am no slouch on Earthdawn. This is the 1st edition book that I ran, and I've used it so much the binding fell off. The spine. It still has very old characters on dot matrix print out character sheets.
Ooh, I don't know if you guys can see this or not. There we go. That's fun.
Yeah.
I can hear the printer right now.
So this is how long I've been playing this game. I really enjoy it, and I'm going to go over the reasons why. I did buy the 2nd edition, but I bought it like in a time when kind of all my player groups were not around anymore, so I just bought it for nostalgia and to feed the library. And I never played it. I never played the 2nd edition, I never played the 3rd edition, and then FASA Games, the original publisher, FASA, got the rights back, and they came out with 4th edition. And I really do like the rules of 4th edition.
We also have a guest star here. You can't see her.
Oh, we got Bandolier.
Bandy.
Alright, so I have this player's handbook, so if you can have that to look through. So,
let me just read it real quick.
Yeah, go through and get that done. So,
start last week.
Earthdawn has like 2 things that I really love about it conceptually. The first is, as a FASA game, they tied it in with their other big property, which is Shadowrun.
And FASA is a company.
FASA is the publishing company. Yeah, they made Shadowrun. They kind of dissolved for a bit, and then they came back around and regained the rights to Earthdawn, but not to Shadowrun. So the original Earthdawn was the precursor to Shadowrun. That is Shadowrun is a cyberpunk future where corporations have taken over the world, basically, but magic has returned, so there's elves and trolls and dragons and all this stuff. It's called the Sixth World when magic starts coming back to Earth. This is the Fourth World. So this is what happened before it was the age of no magic and, just our current history.
I'm assuming by cover art that this is high fantasy.
This is high fantasy. This is their answer to D&D. So Shadowrun was their answer to Cyberpunk. This is their answer to D&D, which leads me into my second point. They made this to kind of deal with the meta of D&D and give it a reason in game. To explain that, why is there a person that's like a 10th level fighter that, when he was first level, he could fall off a horse and die, but at 10th level, he could walk through a pile of orcs getting cleavered in the face and not break a sweat? Why is that? Like, how can you explain that? How can you explain that armies full of soldiers are all these 0 level characters with 6 hit points, yet there's this one 20th level dude that has 300 hit points and can kill a dragon in one shot? Why is that? Like, how do you explain that?
And so how do they explain?
Magic.
Oh.
And I'll get into it in a second. But there's other things like levels. You don't ever walk into a group in D&D and say, I'm a 5th level ranger. But that's what you are. And, like, how does the wizard explain that? Oh, that spell's too complicated for me. It's at a level I can't attain, and levels of spells and what that means and why you can't cast those bigger spells yet. All of that is mechanically in the lore, in the world, and you can talk about it freely. So if anyone's familiar with Shadowrun, you'll be familiar with the adepts. And adepts are people that are magically infused themselves, and they channel that magic into skills. They could be a virtuoso piano player, like that's just preternaturally, like supernaturally good at playing piano. It's because they're infused with magic to play piano. And there's the combatives, the physical adepts, who can literally take their hand and cut through armor and break people in half.
So technically you could be a magic-infused accountant in this sort of...
In Shadowrun, yeah. And in Earthdawn, the magic is so high, where in Shadowrun it's just starting, that adepts are much more common, and they are specific. Like, you can take your magic and go, I want to focus on being an archer. And there are archers that came before you, and they can teach you all these cool abilities that you can pump your magic into with that bow and that style. And they are ranked as initiates, like, through a whole progression. I am a first circle archer. I need to go find a person of a higher circle than I am to train me so I can get better. As a third circle elementalist, I can't cast fourth circle spells. They're too powerful for me.
Gotcha.
So all of that is in the game.
And that's common knowledge to the players.
You could say it. Yeah, you just talk about it. Yeah, I'm only like first circle and third circle, and it's what differentiates a adept versus a mortal. Like, there are soldiers that are just soldiers, but then that one warrior adept walks in, and there is a reason he's got crazy abilities. There's a reason he's got special, he's got more hit points, so to speak. It's harder to kill him than others.
So it's a little more direct than D&D, where that's more of just milestone or experience, but however it boils down to, you're just exponentially getting larger and stronger for some reason.
And gaining these weird abilities. Hey, Geostellar!
Hey, Geostellar!
Like rogues at higher level, that's like, I can disappear even if people are looking at me.
Half damage.
Like, how is that? Like, half damage, yeah. Why is that? And it's magic. In Earthdawn, it's magic. It's infused in you, and how this world works, it's so saturated with magic that there's patterns in everything, and those patterns are strengthened by names. And naming is a big thing in Earthdawn. Once something has a name, it can have power. There's a difference between that forest over there that you have to pass going here and the forest where an adept died, so that is called
Nightshade Hollow.
That's called Chisholm's Demise, that kind of a thing. We're playing a little 4th edition Earthdawn, yes. So names make a pattern a true pattern, And then once that name gets out and people start learning it, the more it is known, the more people speak about it, the more people think about it and talk about it, and stories are written and songs are sung, the more powerful that pattern becomes. So that's how magic grows in someone. Gotcha. As an archer, when you first start out, no one knows you, or whatever class you're playing. But as you go out and do deeds and your legend starts, you can grow into higher circles, you get more power, and become more powerful.
Interesting.
So it's like you really need to go out and venture and do big things to do this.
So I was going to say, so it's not just the naming aspect, it's my deeds strengthen me through the knowledge and praise of others.
Correct. Like the knowledge, that they have knowledge of you and they're speaking of you, and it's in a certain way. And that feeds your legend. Like, experience points in this game are called legend points, and your legend is a measure of how powerful you are.
So there we go. Could I become super strong by starting a few rumors?
No, you can, because, well, rumors will go around, but if you haven't done those things, they're kind of fake. So you are making a legend that you're a fraud.
Oh, so people need to...
You have to do the
people
thing.
Need to people need to praise the actual things
the pattern has to happen inside of you, and then the legend feeds it. If you start going out and making rumors, you're just feeding a pattern in you that you're a good liar. So your power is that you're a good liar, and you can make up stories about yourself, but you've never done any of those things, so that kind of stuff.
So Isaac would have a terrible time here. So that's the leveling system and how things work. Give us some lore about Earthdawn.
All right, Earthdawn. So in this world, which is Shadowrun and Earthdawn, magic ebbs and flows. And when there's no magic, it's just baseline, human, regular physics, history, the world that we live in. When it's really high, there's dwarves, dragons, elves, trolls, orcs, all the gamut. So there's this realm, area of land that they call named Barsave, and in this realm of land, people were doing their own thing. There's all the races just doing their stuff. No real empire building. The dwarves were the dominant race of that area. They're doing their thing, and off on an island outside of this, there's a nation called Thera, and Thera was a really progressive, really high magic nation, and they had a lot of scholars, and these scholars are doing their job. Again, if you're familiar with Shadowrun, this concept will be familiar to you. There's an astral plane that touches and is overlaid of the world, and in that astral plane you can see the living things all have auras and are bright. So the living earth, the trees, the people, all man-made stuff is dark and shadowy and off. But outside of that, or through that astral plane, you can get to the far realms. And the far realms have weird spirits. It's where the elemental planes are. It's all these esoteric things. Some are common knowledge. Some have never been heard of.
Do most people know and accept the fact that the astral plane exists?
Yes.
It's kind of common knowledge.
It's common knowledge, and every magician can view into it, and even some races can feel it or look into it.
When you say magician, you mean mage or magic user?
Yes, okay. There's 4 types in this game.
Gotcha.
So the people that can cast spells and do magic. Yes. Yeah. That'll give you a legend just as good as anyone else if you want to become an evil bastard.
Might do okay here.
You can get power. You can get power as well. Negativity is just as legendary.
It's just as potent.
Yeah. So Theran scholars found out about this one far realm that is filled with horror. Like, just the most terrible creatures in existence that feed off pain and suffering and killing and sorrow and loss. But these things are trapped in that realm. They can't exist in the astral plane around the world, and they can't get physically into the world. No, the Thera is the people that discovered this.
Gotcha. And the name of this place was? Sorry.
There is no name. No one knows about it. No one knows. You can't get there. If you do get there, you get killed. Yeah. So they just discovered or found that this thing exists. Then they just did some research and did some testing, kind of, theoretics, and said, well, the magic level in our world is rising, eventually those things are going to be able to get into the astral plane, and if it keeps going up, they'll be able to get into the physical plane. So we're on track for a horrible, horrible event. And they were doing their research going as far back as their history went, and they started to realize that this has happened before. That these things, once the magic gets high enough, these things get out and wipe out everything on the planet, basically. And that's why no one was really getting a good chance to start a civilization, like empire building or growing past this level, is because the moment magic came high enough for people to do amazing things and create amazing societies and places, the horrors rushed in and wiped everyone out.
So would you say that this is the dawn of Earth's understanding about that?
Yes. But that's not what it is.
I'm thinking educated guesses.
So they started testing ideas to not have this happen to them. They figured out how to make shelters that could possibly stand up to these horrors and not let them in. So,
are these structures magically infused, or are they just specifically
partly and partly not
attenuated, sort of?
So, depending on what it is, most of them were just built underground because the horrors can't go through the living earth.
These are like bomb shelters.
Yeah.
Almost. Okay.
But the door is the most important thing because they can get in through that. So those need to be... They have to have true elements with lots of wards and all this kind of stuff, sealing them in and unbreakable.
How easy is it for the inhabitants to get in and out of these shelters, or are they sealed in?
They're sealed in.
They're sealed in. Okay.
And now that was one way. The Thera, they had such high magic and so much of the true elements that they just built an entire air shield around them and kept it empowered the entire time. So they can't pass through magic or true elements, and they can't pass through anything living, so the living earth is the answer for everyone else.
Gotcha.
But if you're powerful enough, they can do that. The elves decided to try to weave their forest into a shelter.
So since you said elves now, would this be... But looking this also, these cover arts are gorgeous, by the way.
Everything you can play in Shadowrun, you can play in this.
So
plus
elves, orcs, dwarves,
trolls,
possibly trolls. Yeah, I was going to say trolls. What I was looking for. So.
And then there's other races which we'll get to during character creation. Right. So Thera found this knowledge. They pieced it together. They figured out, and like, hey, we got to help people, right? We're gonna save everyone. So they went out and went over to Barsave and went to the dwarves of Thrall, the biggest merchant capital in that area, and said, hey, here's what's going to happen, and we want you to spearhead getting everyone protected in this area. So we're making you our de facto mouthpiece in Barsave. But in order for us to give you this knowledge, you have to join our empire. You have to be subservient to us.
So they have to be subservient to
Thera.
To Thera. So they're asking, Thrall is being charged with being the mouthpiece, but become
subservient to Thera. The Theran Empire. And this is how the Empire built. And it's shitty because what they did is said, hey, this thing's going to happen. You're all going to die unless we give you this book and it tells you how to make a shelter. But you can't have it unless you join our empire.
So what are the pros and cons of joining this empire? Pros are you get the book.
Pros are you get the book.
Cons are you're beholden.
You're beholden to them. You're one of them. And at the beginning, at the end, I should say, the end before the horrors came, it didn't matter. There's some people that were too proud and decided not to, or they didn't believe. You're making up stories in your empire building. We don't have anything to do with that until the first horrors started showing up. Then people changed their tune real quick. So in the last days, before the cairns were all closed, it was pretty a mad scramble. Horrors are coming in. The horrors are getting more and more powerful as the magic rises to let the bigger ones in. And people that didn't side with Terra first started going nuts and trying to find...
Oh, yeah, there it goes.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So,
It's cloudy outside, which causes all kinds of problems.
Thrall started thinking, and first off they said, okay, Thera went around and they taught us how to make these cairns. They taught us how to make the doors. They taught us to make them underground. But they didn't think about what's going to happen for however long we're down there. Like, people losing civilization, people, like, entire generations born underground in these bomb shelters, so to speak. So they made the Book of Tomorrow. And the Book of Tomorrow is got the complete Dwarvish alphabet. It teaches people how to speak Dwarven, so that's the common language of the land. It also has, hey, how to make a society, how to farm, how to, what to do when the cairns open, and how to rebuild your society. So it was an entire book of hey, this is how to be people, and this is how we can help reclaim the lands, and we all need to work together, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, they had to close their doors, and also between Thera and that Thrall and a dragon. If you're familiar with Shadowrun, it's probably Dunkelzahn. His name is Icewing, I think, in this one, in Earthdawn, but it's probably Dunkelzahn. Both of them started saying, hey, fuck Thera, let's just tell as many people as we can how to make cairns, because this is bullshit. Like, people need to know. And so at the end, Thrall closed up. The last people scrambled to get into their cairns. A lot of communities, just small little hamlets and farming towns, and their trade hubs and things like that. They couldn't make ones individually, and you wouldn't want to make an individual one for 100 people. So they'd all pool together and go live in a bigger one together.
Yeah. Not just safety numbers, but resource in numbers as well.
And that's what made like a lot of the race kind of like mingling. There's still communities of elves and communities of dwarves and communities of orcs, but mostly anywhere you go, it's everyone living together.
Gotcha. Because
of this.
So, having said that, is there still some of the racism that exists in D&D, where people are still specious almost?
Yeah, there's still that what you see in Shadowrun. People look down on the trolls and the orcs somewhat. Dwarves are the primary race. Humans do not have a lot of population right now, and they're just kind of mixed in other people and help. So what was the last thing you heard?
Let me pee them for a real quick recap.
Yeah.
There you go. We can recap for our sole viewer.
Oh, it's just experience points. It's a meta way to talk about experience points. So what legend you create really only has an impact in the campaign and what the GM wants. But as you go out and do deeds, you get experience points called legend points, and you use that to increase your power, in your discipline. So that's how you increase your stuff. So it's cool to say and how to talk about it and the concepts to think about, but it's just experience points. And you get stronger with experience points. You increase your abilities. You progress through your discipline. And if you made your hero, be a hero, or if you made your guy be a dick, then that's just the legend that's surrounding you. There is a lot of stuff about pattern magic, so like your legend does tie into what people will need to know about you if they want to start using pattern magic against you or to bolster you. And that's really high concept later on kind of things. Like, there's ways to make a group thread, like a group can be together and like, we're a group, like we're always going to be together. And they tie their patterns together and to each other, so they can aid each other. Like literally, like you can give people ability boosts and things like that through your magic.
I see the overlay looks great. This Earthdawn looks really good.
Yep. All right, so they scrambled in the cairns, so they got in there. 400 plus years. So they had a method to determine when they could come out. And that method was to take a bowl, big vibrant bowl of true water, and then you take a orb of true earth and enchant it so that it suspends over this water, and it suspends at the level the magic is at. So they just saw it rise up and up and up and up and up, and then start finally going down and down and down and down and down.
So they want to come out at a point where it's dropped to a level that's manageable?
They want to come, the level that they set, the enchantment and how it's set, when the water touches, or the earth touches the water, it'll absorb into it, and everyone knows they can come out at that point.
And that'll be when magic's at a fairly low point compared to modern times.
Well, it'll be back to where it was.
Okay.
When they went in, right before the horrors started coming and all that. So it was going down and down and down and down and down, and then about 2 inches above the water, it stopped. And just stayed that way for years. And they're like, well, crap. So,
it's just a quick recap for myself. We've got Thera, we've got Thrall. Thrall has to pledge fealty to Thera to get the knowledge capable to stay in these cairns.
Yeah.
You take it, Thera's kind of like, bye.
Who?
Thera's kind of like, all right, bye.
Well, Thera goes out and does the rest of the community and all that stuff. They had to be the first to close up, though.
And they've been here several generations? How long have they been in the cairn at this point? The different communities?
400 years. 400 plus years. Yeah.
So usually they're using the Book of Tomorrow to learn Dwarven, post-apocalyptic knowledge like farming and agriculture, that sort of stuff. Okay. And then now we're thinking, or at least these people are thinking, that the magic levels probably won't ever go back to baseline because they've gotten as low as they are and stayed that way for many, many years.
Yeah. Okay. It's not going down at the rate it was. It's dead stopped, and it stays that way.
Perfect.
So, and that's about 408 years, somewhere around there, that happens. So, the next year after it got stuck there, Thrall sent out a scouting party. They're like, we've got to see what, if the magic's just going to stay this way, we got to see what's going on. So they sent out a scouting party. The scouting party was wiped out within hours. Every year beyond that, they sent out another group. Until about 412 years in, they sent out one, and this troll that was leading the party came back. And he said, yep, the horrors are still here, but they seem very weak, and they're very few and far between. It's pretty manageable.
So that was once a year for over a decade. They sent a group out over and over and over again until finally somebody survived, and it was one person.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the entire group. No, some died, this and that, but they survived, so...
Or the night
they came back.
Terrors and horrors.
So they're like, okay, let's open up. If that can survive, let's do it. They opened up. That scout that survived was given an airship called the Earthdawn, and he was given the task of going out to all the cairns and telling them, hey, it's safe to come out now. Most of them did not believe it. So they're like, yeah, you're a horror trying to trick us to open our door. And they're like, okay. Of the 50 or so that he visited, I think 12 opened their doors.
Oh, wow. So that means that there's probably still quite a few,
There was, yeah, for quite a long time. Also, many of the cares he visited, besides the 50 that had people in them, a lot of them were broken. A lot of them got broken into.
These are Fallout vaults. High fantasy. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
And this is also part of that contrivance of Dungeons & Dragons.
Oh, fast. Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Dungeons & Dragons has all these fucking dungeons everywhere. All these crazy, big-ass, complex dungeons and ruins and all these things. And it's like, where did they all come from? Who made these things? In Earthdawn, there's cairns everywhere. Some of them lost. Some of them, people left things in them. Some of them didn't survive.
Some knowledge, some forgotten knowledge might be buried in them.
And then there was towns and cities that, people left to go in the cairns, and they died in the cairns, or they went out somewhere different when they came out. So there's all these old towns and ruins that are just out there.
I like it.
So that's to justify the contrivance of these ruins, these dungeons, and these things.
is the Earthdawn well known? Like, do
Yes.
just kind of general society knows?
General says it was like the thing that heralded the end of the Scourge, which is what the period of time everyone was in the cairns and the horrors walked free. It's called the Scourge.
Gotcha.
The Earthdawn disappeared without a trace several years later. No one knows what happened to it. And that is something like I need to look up if anyone out there knows if they've ever said, but they never talk about what occurred to it. They just disappeared without a trace. So, people come out of their cares, they start to resettle, take some coaxing. Like, Thrall had to give land grants and say, you know, if you go out and farm and mine and do all this stuff, you get land. You get the trading rights of everything you make. You know, we're not going to tax you. In fact, after the first king of Thrall died during the Scourge, and the second king came up, they started discussing how to rule a civilization. And they discussed it for like 300 years.
And they couldn't find that information in the Book of Tomorrow?
Well, they wrote the Book of Tomorrow.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So this is them,
Gotcha.
And they're like, okay, like that tells people how to make civilization again, but how do we lead a civilization, and what does that mean? And that include like human rights and land possessions, property rights. They went through the whole thing, and it's the compact, like the something of the compact something, or the something of compact.
The Imperial Uplifting Primer?
Yeah, something like that. But one of the big things it set on was slavery is illegal and immoral because the soul, the pattern of the soul, belongs to itself. And the body is what holds that soul. So if you take over someone's body, you have stolen their property from that soul without compensating it.
Is that a common thing, or is that just showing how in-depth they got?
It's how in-depth they got, and it's how Thrall went forward, and when all the people started coming out and making society, they all looked to Thrall, and Thrall became the de facto capital of Barsave, because Thera wasn't back yet, and that became part of it. Like, so slavery is bad, don't do slavery. You know, this is how to rule. They ruled like pretty much hands off, a meritocracy, people, you know, keep what they earn type of thing. Then Thera returned. They finally took down their dome and came back, and they said, oh, no, you all belong to us, remember, and we really, we do slavery because our entire empire is based off blood magic, so get in line.
So their progressive nation lost its progressiveness after...
Yeah, actually, what it was the Terran War happened. So after the cairn came out and everyone was living and this and that, and society was starting to build after the 400 years in the cairns, Terrans came back. They said, nope, you all belong to us, and slavery is totally what we do. And Thrall went, nope, sorry, these are our people now.
Yeah. And
fought them back. And it was hard. It was tough. They had flying castles. They had airships. They had all kinds of devastating.
Just in case I'm missing it, but you were saying Thera and Thrall. Thrall was a dwarf capital, but Thera and Thrall are made up of more than just elves or dwarves. Like they're huge communities of multiracial people. Okay. Thera is the same way.
Thera is the same way. Thera, oddly enough, was mostly human. Lots of dwarves and all that. It was one of the few instances that there was a huge human population in one place, because on Barsave, it wasn't like that. And then all of a sudden the Thera, which is on an island, came in, and it was like a bunch of humans. And it's like, well, this is what happens when humans go to empire build, jerks. But everywhere else, like, dwarves are the most populous race, or the most prominent, and then like humans are actually pretty low down there in how widespread they are. So that's kind of where everything is at. The Therans have been beaten back. Thrall is recovering once again. Barsave and all the communities. There's been a lot of crazy things. One thing to touch on is the elves. So the elves wove their wooden forest into a cairn, thinking that it would hold. It was wood. It did not hold. Horrors started gashing and slashing, physically breaking the wards, and got right in. So they were, 200 years in, fighting horrors on a daily basis, and more come in, and more would come in, and they got pushed all the way back to the elven, capital, the queen, the center of elven society, where all the other elves got in regular cairns of all the other places. So she turned to desperation and said, they want our pain, they want us to suffer, they want to inflict pain on us, they feed off of it, so we're going to enact a ritual to deny them that. And they enacted a ritual which made thorns grow out of their skin and cause them physical pain constantly.
So elves are thorned now.
Not just that one.
Thorned.
Elves.
They're like Wolverines. They're like, every time his claws come out, it hurts every time. So
sort of, yeah, but they're just covered, and there's thorns, like rose thorns, coming out of their skin everywhere,
and
they constantly bleed. Yeah, little drops of blood come off and all that. So they became the Blood Elves.
Blood Elves.
And the rest of Elven society, when they came back to see their queen, are like, what the hell? And she's like, yeah, like, I'm still the center of Elven society, and everyone needs to kneel to me. And anyone that didn't, she killed. So most of the elves stay away and don't talk about their capital too much.
The capital is named, sorry.
It's now Bloodwood, yeah.
Bloodwood.
It used to be Wormwood. So, that's kind of where we're at. There's the elves doing crazy stuff up there. There's still horrors wandering around, but most of them are the weaker, lesser ones. There's all these cairns. Some people are probably still in their cairns. There's Thrall that's kind of running the show. They've beaten back Thera. Thera hasn't been heard from in a while. There's probably still agents of Thera in the land.
How would people describe Thrall as an entity? Are they like benevolent?
Oh yeah,
that's just very nice. It's nice to have that.
They like.
It's nice to have them. Nice to have them. So what's like the main drive for a person in this kind of world? Is it food and money or prestige, or is it for adventuring because you feel the call?
The thing is, for most people that are normal, it's just, hey, let's survive, let's do this, business as usual. If you're an adept, that puts you on a whole nother level. Because that magic infusing in you means that the world is your oyster, and you will only get more powerful if you go out and do something. So you can totally just be an adept and farm all day. You won't become a better farmer. There's no adept farmers there.
You also become better at your magic skills either.
Yeah, nothing happens. Like, you're just... No one knows you. You're just the guy. You're just a farmer. You might as well not even be an adept at that point. And there's a lot of people that are adepts and don't know it and never realize their potential. Generally speaking, it takes a person of a discipline, an adept, to find an adept. And they go, hey, I can train you, or you should go find someone to train you. Like, if you don't want to become what I am, go find someone that can.
So after that, then, motivation is more or less Dungeons and Dragons.
Correct.
We're seeking fortune or fame or just trying to help.
That is correct.
Okay.
So, we'll go over races, but I don't want you to pick a race yet. The discipline is kind of more important than the race. The discipline is your class. So the name giver races, as I said, names are very important. Names create true patterns and they make things powerful. Being named and having a name is powerful. So the name giver races are people that can give names. Like they're humans. Like a dog doesn't name things, but a human, an orc, and all that stuff, they can conceptualize it. They can give things a name, and that is a very powerful ability. So that's why mortals, the sapient mortals, are above other things. And then dragons are above them. So dwarves are the most common folk around. They're kind of your standard dwarf. They're about 4 foot tall, very stocky. Most of them are Throlic. They have heat sight, and they have a higher threshold for carrying and lifting and things like that. Strong backs.
Stout.
Yep. Elves. Elves are elves. They have low light vision. Most of them are kind of wanderers now. They're kind of a people without a queen. They've gotten a lot robbed from them because of what she did, the Ritual of Thorns. So they're kind of like trying to find their place in the world again. Now that center of culture is gone to them, is dead to them. Humans. They're humans. They're very versatile. They love to help, but they're not cohesive at the moment in this world. And here's a new race, if you're a Shadowrun person. These aren't in Shadowrun. Obsidian. Obsidian are 7-foot tall, rock-skinned people.
Obsidian?
Obsidian. Like obsidian.
Oh, obsidian min.
Obsidian. So there's these things called life rocks, just big hunks of normally one or other type of mineral, a lot of times crystalline, and these things are like harness souls. Like they have souls that they gestate in them, and they sit there, and a soul will sit there for decades as it learns and is taught by the other souls in it. And then when it gets to a certain point of maturity, the life rock will go, here's a body, and stick you out into the world. And then you'll go out into the world and live as an obsidian and do things for, experience everything. Then you'll come back to the life rock after you're done, absorb back in, and your knowledge will help train the next ones.
Rock as well.
They are flesh and blood. They need to eat, they need to breathe, but their skin has mineralization in it. It is rocky. Their blood is blue and thick. They are super tough and strong.
They look human-esque. Kind of trollish almost.
Yeah. So they're genderless, but their bodies and their attitudes can lead them to take on a form that is one or the other. Like most of them are masculine, but there are feminine obsidian out there. GT, what's going on, GT. Man? Return to the source. This is Wiley vs. Mitch. We're going through Earthdawn 4th Edition, explaining the entire world and game, where he's going to make a character, he's going to play, get really confident, and have a lot of fun, and then I'm going to straight murk his ass into the ground.
So we finished up with lore, and now we're going over races at the moment. So I've never heard of Earthdawn. I've heard of it, but I've never played it. So the point of this is always just new knowledge about individual games, introductions to different RPGs out there.
The next are orcs. Orcs are very short-lived, living only about 40 years. They mature very fast and live life to its fullest. They are impulsive. They value freedom amongst everything, and the history of the orc race was a lot of slavery. Like, their entire kingdom was enslaved at one point. So they are the most they're the most against Thera and the slavery rules and things like that. Trolls, if you're familiar with Shadowrun, you know about them. They are 8.5 to 9 feet tall, big, bearded or hairy. They have random kind of horns that grow any which way. There's some tribes that will form them. They are very, very honorable as a race. They put a lot of emphasis on honor, keeping your word, and making sure others keep their word to you. Not taking an insult.
Just making one more quick thing. So these guys have all lived together though for a long time, so everyone's very familiar with each other's races.
Yes.
And moral obligations, that sort of thing.
The Scrang, a new race. To those Shadowrun folks, Scrang are kind of lizard people. They got a crest, long snout, colors from greens to blues with other patches and things like that. They are aquatic, semi-aquatic, or kind of hybrid aquatic. Most of their cities are under rivers. Like, you kind of a Bioshock. They just have a one hut that sits up the top, and you enter that door and you go down into these big domed bubbles where their towns are. They lay eggs, and they take their eggs in batches. When they hatch, everyone raises them. Like, there's kind of like the whole community raises them, and there's some kind of what are they? The people that help raise your child, kind
of nannies.
Yeah, basically nannies over children. They are very flamboyant. They kind of grab life, by the tail and run with it. They are also very well known as merchants. They ply trade all up and down the main river in this place, and almost any river. They have boats that have engines that no one else has been able to replicate. They have true fire and true water in them somehow, and they are essentially steam-powered, magic-powered engines on these riverboats. So there's a lot of kind of flamboyance, a lot of very much like swashbuckler type attitude amongst them. And the last race is the Windlings. Windlings are about 18 inches tall. Windlings. About 18 inches tall with butterfly wings or dragonfly wings on their back. They can fly. They are very, very have childlike enthusiasm and wonderment for the world. They love life everywhere. They are very magically inclined, having a natural ability to see into the astral plane. So those are the races. Now, let's get to character creation. Ooh, I forgot to grab the character sheet off the printer. Pretty much fairies. Yep.
That's kind of what I wrote. Pixies? Question mark.
Yes, if you do get a windling wet, he really can't fly.
What?
Their wings get all like fragile and weak.
Boo.
All right, you know what the printer is there?
I do.
You want to grab the sheets that are on top of it? Not on top, but out the feed. Windlings are small, but they can do some cool stuff. No, it's a completely different system. But it is in the same world, at least the original. They don't have that tie anymore because Catalyst Games owns Shadowrun now, and FASA got the rights back to Earthdawn. But in the original, when FASA made them both, Earthdawn was the precursor to Shadowrun. Earthdawn is the fourth world, and it's their high fantasy game, and Shadowrun is their cyberpunk, mystic future game. So it's really cool to see some of the history that goes through here. Like Harlequin in Shadowrun, he's in this. He's one of the elves in this. Dunkelzahn is here as well, but he's not named Dunkelzahn. It is pretty cool. It's on the desk. If you no, in the living room. Get him, Bandy. He's being accosted by the dog. So we have a character sheet. So this is the character sheet. It's 4 pages long, whole bunch of stuff. You'll probably not even use anything of the second page, but here is the first page. All right. So disciplines are disciplined. Like every discipline has a mindset. How you go about that mindset is kind of up to you and your character. It can be different, but they all normally have something in common. Like they have the one thing that defines their discipline and their magic. If you go against that, you can actually have a discipline crisis and lose your abilities.
So my abilities almost serve as a knife in this.
Yes. So the class you play has its own knife built in. To give you an example, archers are very goal-oriented. It's the whole, like, there's the target, and I need to get this into that. Like, that's their thing. The direct line, they hit the target. But you can have different ways to go about that depending on what kind of, what your character is bringing to the table. An example is, let's say you're an elven archer that focuses on speed. It's like a speed shooter. So for him, it's don't overthink things. Normally the first idea is the best idea, and you shouldn't waste time.
So you're saying that if he was bogged down by a team that wanted to discuss endlessly,
overtook.
to lose.
He wouldn't lose his magic. It's not that bad. But if he started going against, and it's actually not even that. If he started going against being goal-oriented, that's the thing that makes him the archer. He brought to the table that he's fast. Mm-hmm. But it's if he ever goes, maybe life is just what you make of it, and the journey's more important than the end. That's where you would get a crisis.
Gotcha.
To counter that, like let's say you're playing an orc archer that uses a crossbow, and he comes from a large family and all this kind of thing, like a big orc community, and he uses this crossbow, which is a bunch of moving parts that all work together to get him to that target. So he is all about the group dynamics that he's bringing to get that philosophy.
So if we kept using him as like a quick stormer with a regular bow, he'd be like, "This is boring," or "This isn't the way I like
this is, and that's just like your personality. But the key is they're always goal oriented. The archers. There's a big important one for one of these classes, and I know I'm gonna have to explain it to you when I get there because it's going to be pertinent to you.
So we're doing disciplines before I pick race.
Correct.
Okay.
Some races, that is the normal way to do it. Your discipline defines...
I see it on the character sheet, a name, discipline.
Your discipline defines more about your character and what you're going to do than anything else.
Gotcha.
Also, in the older editions, they used to have racial restrictions, and they're smart. There shouldn't be Obsidian that are air sailors. They shouldn't be up on a boat in the sky. They're 900 pounds.
It's like every time we take our paladin onto the boat, we're like, you probably shouldn't be.
And like, there's some things that just shouldn't be things. So there's some restrictions that I kind of put in there, and I just like, you can come up with a concept that can get around them, and that's fine. But generally speaking, there's some races that don't work well with some disciplines.
Makes sense.
All right, so we're going to start with the disciplines.
You don't want to be a pixie fighter.
Right. Well, there's one type of fighter that they really excel at.
Not pixie either. It's
Windling. All right, so starting with A's. The first discipline we're going to talk about is the air sailor. There are sky ships in this world, and they are used a lot. Lots of trade goes by sky ship. Lots of the military uses sky ships. So air sailors are the swashbuckling brotherhood of the sky. They never leave their fellows behind. They embrace the idea of togetherness, working to protect and spread civilization, going all the way back to the Earthdawn as their kind of example of, that camaraderie, and that they are the pioneers. Mm-hmm. They are bringing the word out there. They're the ones getting the things where they need to be, and they're doing it together. Like, everyone on the ship working together, getting that stuff done. So they're, swashbuckler, fighter, air sailors. That's what they are. So... I know how you love boats.
That's me.
Archer, we talked about. Bows and crossbows, all types of ranged weapons, but it stresses accuracy, speed, and most archers show greatly enhanced perceptive powers, frequently noticing things that others miss. So, perception, goals, archer, directness. Beastmaster. Please don't pick this. It's a lot of... Beastmaster is a lot of bookkeeping because of your animal companions.
Yeah.
But Beastmaster is Beastmaster. That's the kind of like in D&D you would have Ranger, and the Ranger could become all these other things. They don't have that here. Everything is its own discipline. So this is that you want animal companions, and you want to be the Beastmaster with a panther and your ferrets and your hawk.
It sounds like it's too general of a thing, but discipline is basically like specialization in Dungeons and Dragons. Gotcha.
Cavalryman. Cavalryman is specifically a mounted fighter. So also don't pick that one. Not great for dungeon delving and things like that. They have, all of their abilities are stressed on if they have a mount. Like, you have to have a mount to do charged combat. Mm-hmm. Elementalist is one of the caster classes. Like I said, there was 4 of them. So this is the first one. Elementalist is the druid type. They do a lot of nature and earth stuff and the 5 elements. In Earthdawn, there's 5 elements. Earth, wind, water, fire, and wood. Caster.
Earth, wind, fire, and wood?
Water and wood.
Water and wood.
There are a lot of... so there's 4 caster classes. Casters have way more complex abilities. Mm-hmm. Not steering you away from them. They're really cool, and they can do cool stuff. but it's going to be extra bookkeeping when we get into
I feel
it.
like you probably shouldn't have started with pirate. I know it's alphabetical, but I'm like, Anyway.
I'm fine with you being an air sailor. Illusionist is another caster class. So I'm going to quickly talk about this because people might think, oh, illusionist, that's kind of stupid, based off the D&D one, which is the illusionist is kind of useless in D&D.
It's if you already have 9 characters and you want to put a 10th person in.
Right.
Illusionist.
Illusionist in this world is much different because the illusions they're making are real magic. They have a pattern. And if the person doesn't realize that it's an illusion, then the damage that thing does is real to that person. So if you make a dragon and it claws someone, that is a real attack on him because his pattern doesn't know that pattern is fake.
So just so I'm clear, then, if I cast dragon on you and the dragon hits you and your teammates try to attack it, will they realize that it's an illusion?
They can. The more things you interact with, you can start to disbelieve, but it's also harder once things hit you and all that kind of stuff. And the illusionists in this don't have the carte blanche of illusions in D&D. It's not like you can make whatever you want. They are very specific spells.
Interesting.
For example, one of their first spells is, I think it's not Mind Dagger, but it's an attack spell that throws a dart. And the thing is that the spell itself, in reality, the way they explain it, is Ephemeral Bolt. That's what it is. Lore Merchant, is that?
How about Lore
is
Merchant?
That you, Scott?
Lore Merchant? Are you Scott?
I don't know many people that know Earthdawn stuff off the top of their head.
Kudos, Lore Merchant.
Kudos to you. So their Ephemeral Bolt is half the time it's real, a real magic effect that is hurts, and half the time it's fake, so that the person can never disbelieve it. You can never disbelieve Ephemeral Bolt because
it's both real and not real.
It's both real and not real. So
the name is in the hardcover.
Yeah, mine is too.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so this was kickstarted.
Oh.
So it has the names of all the Kickstarters that kickstarted it. So I'm
either Wiley or David. Maybe they're good in the H's.
Oh, we need to find David. There. Boop, 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 boop.
There it is.
Yep. Found myself. Oh, you're on the credits. You're a writer of this. Ooh.
So, Lore Merchant, I don't know if you've watched our stream before, but this is our Tuesday thing we do on Wileyverse, where I'm fairly new. I've only been playing tabletop RPG for about 2 years now. So we had the idea that he would teach me about different RPGs. So we go over lore for a little bit, then we do character creation, then we do a little bit of interaction or combat phase, and then he makes a buff character. That way we can see what things look like after a campaign or after several sessions, like what happens once the character's leveled up. Sometimes we have time to level my character up to kind of meet the challenge. It doesn't always work that way, but however it ends, it always ends with me dying brilliantly. Yeah, well, welcome.
Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, so right now we're going over disciplines for Earthdawn before I make my choices.
So, illusions have more specific. They don't have carte blanche like the other, but illusionists are legitimate, real casters that can do real effects because there's a magical pattern in the spell. There's a magical pattern that in the person. If the person doesn't realize that thing is fake, that pattern affects this pattern.
So my question with that though was that do other bystanders, like do I cast it at you or do I just cast it in general?
It depends on what the spell is.
Okay.
So some of them are area effect and multiple people see it.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are specifically targeted to a single person.
Gotcha.
And it's only affecting them.
Like Ephemeral Bolt is probably specific.
Yeah, and it just happens.
Gotcha.
But when I was saying that, it's magic missile for illusionists, and it never fails. It never not does damage. You can even though you know that guy's an illusionist and you know Ephemeral Bolt is an illusion spell, you can't just sit there and disbelieve because that'll be the time it's a real physical magical attack. So
you have to dodge every single one.
Right.
And treat every single one.
And once you start doing that, then they're all real. Next is Nethermancer. Nethermancer deals with spirits and sometimes undead or dead things.
Caster as well?
That's another caster. They're, they can be kind of dark and moody and a little emo, but they are a caster and they deal with spirits.
Are they kind of like...
Here's a picture of it.
No, but I'm trying to say, are they kind of like the Beastmaster where they summon spirits to do their bidding? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Summoner.
Yeah, they're one of the bigger summoners. Like, the wizards can also do it and things like that. All of them can do it to a certain extent. They focus way more on spirits than the other ones.
Gotcha.
Scout. So this is kind of like the breakaway of how rogues are. Mm-hmm. So this is the scout. Like, he can hide, he can track, part ranger, part rogue from D&D. Scout, very perceptive, find traps, do that kind of stuff. So climbing, survival in the wilderness. Sky Raider. So Sky Raider is the other side of like Air Sailor. Sky Raiders are Sky Vikings. Where the air sailors are in, masted ships, like ships of the line, they are in longboats. Like, their ships are longboats. They come down, jump down, take what they want. They're a bunch of bastards, but they're terrifying. But it's like, if you want to play a Viking that's in the air.
Scary.
Swordmaster. So Swordmasters are those templates that take the sword and take it to the next level, whether that's that samurai or that just knight that goes all out. The one thing about them is they rely a lot more on their dexterity and their finesse of fighting. They also have the ability to get a lot of charismatic abilities, so that swashbuckler type or that intimidator kind of thing. So if you want to play that swashbuckler, that duelist, or that samurai, that's the class to take and kind of form it into that niche. Thief. There is no rogue in this. There's a thief. And the thing about thieves are they're selfish. So, we talked about the crisis and all that. The thief's crisis is if they help anyone else when it detriments them or does not benefit them, they can lose their magic. They are really selfish, and it's really hard to play one sometimes in a group. There's actually an entire book series with a character named Droll called what is it, Lore Merchant? Droll the something thief. It's Droll the kind thief, or Droll the heroic thief. Selfless thief. He loses his magic.
Honorable thief.
Droll the honorable thief. He loses his magic all the time because he turns back to help a friend that's about to die or something like that.
Oh, so when you lose your magic, you can get it back.
Yeah, you have to take time and do some selfish thing. In this case, selfish things, stuff like that. But you'll be like, so when I say lose magic, almost all of your abilities are magical in this game. All your hits, all your dodges, all your things are all these abilities. When you lose your magic, you lose all of those abilities. Troubadour. Bard. They spread legends. They're really good about... they're really good as a kind of a tertiary class, or that add-on, especially if you're going to do things about like magic items and things like that, because they have item history and lore that can help you with magical items. Also, if you're going to play a game where you're going after some really major bad guys, like horrors, named horrors, you can start using like their history knowledge and their abilities to start weaving threads against the horror and the named people. Warrior is the straight up, combat techniques as efficient as possible. They're that rank and file soldier that's trying to survive and be the most efficient combatant possible. Weaponsmith is another one of those kind of like add-ons. They're very, very necessary in the game. They're very, very hard to get in a group because they need their tools, they need a forge, but they go out and travel when they need to find materials, when they need to hunt down that big weapon. But in this game, there is a lot of minor magic, but most magical weapons, things like that, are things you're going to need to work on. Like, you need to find out the history of that sword, tie threads to it, and unlock its magic, where a weaponsmith can kind of infuse any weapon that you have with magic, and that is definitely a way to progress early on in the game through the first couple circles. Is once you get enough money and you want to do that extra bit of damage, find a weaponsmith and have them reforge your weapon.
So you were saying that this is kind of hard to do
as a group,
like, or even by myself. It would be silly to be a weaponsmith right now. So that's more of like when you have like a large. So is this game more dedicated to large parties?
It can be. It's also, if someone wanted to be, like, say, a weaponsmith, the GM really has to figure out like to include that, like make that a part of the game. Like, okay, you're going to be hunting legendary weapons, or that's the entire point of the quest is to find this thing. And the last one is Wizard, the standard magic user with all the cool little tricks and spells, all arcane-like.
Some of my notes just say wizard, warrior. Scout and thief are different, obviously.
Yep.
The Nethermancer sounds cool.
It's like, you don't get cool spirits or anything like that at the beginning.
Yeah, if anybody's watching any of the other games, you probably know that I'm going to pick Air Sailor.
I bet on it. The adventure I started in my mind is like, I think he's going to go with Air Sailor.
Yeah. So Air Sailor would be the discipline that I should use.
You are an Air Sailor. Write down that on your sheet. So now we got to do some other things. The second one is pick a race.
All right.
Obsidian really shouldn't be Air Sailors. That's like the one. It's not a restriction, but you'd have to have a good reason. Nope, we're doing that right now.
Actually, you choose race after discipline.
Yeah, in the standard order in the book, discipline is first, race is second. Because of the old restrictions that used to be, your discipline could restrict the races you had.
I think for fun, just because they're impulsive and free and tired of being slaver, I think I'm going to be an orc.
Nice. Okay. Orcs. Really their only ability, I think, in this, they might have low light. Let me check. Yep, they do. They have low light vision, so under
talents,
racial, if there's a racial ability somewhere. Might be
racial abilities.
Yep.
What was it? Low light.
Low light vision, and also they're put Gahad, G-A-H-A-D. Oh, hey, lore merchant, you can help me out, I think, since you actually are a writer of pronunciations of things, because I've never really heard a lot of these names. I played with a group. I played a lot of first edition, but it was always the same group, and we've just read these words. We've never said them. So Thrall, is it Thrall, and is it Thera or is it Terra?
Ooh.
Because we always call them the Terrans.
Gahad is correct.
Good. But Thrall and Thera were the two. Like, are they both THs, or is Thera a hard T?
Super curious. Yeah. We're all about the language over here.
We are. We love languages. So, yeah. That's what I figured they were in our group, though, because Thrall already had the soft TH, and to avoid confusion, we said the Theron with a hard T and Terran instead. So I may mispronounce that because of habit. So, did you write Gahad?
I did.
Okay.
And Gahad is?
So Gahad is... let me find the section for it. Orcs are impulsive and their emotions burn swift and hot, a trait they call Gahad. They anger quickly and are just as quick to form friendships. When an orc is driven to act, they act, and some individuals report physical discomfort when they swallow their Gahad. While this tendency can cause problems for their companions, orcs generally consider Gahad a positive thing, a spiritual fire pushing them forward. So, like just as like it's just as easy as you'll go angry. Like it's not a frenzy. Like you don't stay there, you just get there quick. So like if someone insults you, you can get up and start punching them, and if they kind of like slip and fall on a beer or like fall down because you're so terrifying coming at them, you could just instantly go into laughter as well.
Gotcha.
Like ding ding ding, bam bam bam.
Just hot-blooded.
So I do the mechanics to it.
Actually, that's crazy. I was literally just watching a show on Santorini like an hour ago. It's beautiful. Santorini is what you think of when you think of Greece, the white buildings.
Those up in the yeah. That's where this is set, by the way. Like in the physical world, it's in that like Barsave there, the little island, and Barsave is over there. So Gahad, I use generally it's used as role playing, but there's some ways to give mechanics, and I do use those. If you swallow your Gahad, you have to make a willpower check to do it, and you get negatives while it's burning, while it's going down. But if you spark off of Gahad, like if there's a sufficient thing that I prod you with and you react with Gahad, I will give you an initial bonus on whatever your first action is reacting. Gotcha. If it's an appropriate response to an appropriate thing.
Interesting.
Don't try to go flying off the handle at everything, but that's the way it is. Alright, so this gives you some starting attribute values. This because orcs start at a certain level, they have different things they're better in.
So would this
things
be my
with.
base value? Would this be the LP increase? Or?
Yep. So this is going to be base value, but you're going to change it. So write it light. So Dex is 10. Strength is 13. Toughness is 11. Perception is 10.
22, you said?
10. Willpower is 8.
If anybody's ever watched any Wiley verse,
you know that perception. In this, perception is an attribute. Awareness is the skill.
Ah, damn it.
Is the ability. Perception is 10. Willpower is 8. Charisma is 9.
Hey, Shazar.
Earthdawn is in D&D, ergo doesn't belong in D&D category. I didn't even know they had the tabletop RPGs.
It doesn't have a specific category for it.
No.
Oh, does it have a specific category for
Earthdawn? Because they had the Dungeons & Dragons, and that seemed to be the only thing that was a tabletop game.
Also, our mainstream is D&D at the moment, but yeah, we're right there, Shazar.
Yeah,
we're learning.
I'll make sure to change that when we do the Wiley versus Mitch in the future to tabletop RPGs.
So sorry if you're here for D&D, Shazar.
It's still high fantasy.
It is still high fantasy.
Your movement rate is 12, so that's in that box somewhere in here.
12?
And your so down where your karma is, so the left column, in this like little writing space, put karma modifier 5. Reported. Alrighty then. So you've chosen your race, which gives you that baseline abilities. Now we're going to adjust those. So air sailors' important attributes are charisma, dexterity, and willpower. Those are the kind of ones you want to focus on.
My 3 lowest.
Your 3 lowest, of course, and you picked a race that's not really akin to it, but so how this works is you're going to get a block of points, 25 of them to be exact, and then there's a chart of, okay, I want to increase my attribute to this. You look at how much of an increase that is, and and you spin that many points.
Okay.
Dex is probably slightly more important. Oh yeah, like charisma is for the winning smile and the threatening shout and things like that, but dexterity is going to be your main combat ability, and it's also your main avoidance ability, and it's if you fall off the boat, your ability to not die.
So it's basically my attack and saving throw rolls to be affected by my dexterity.
And willpower is also a good one because that's some of your more magical ability. Like air sailors get a natural feather fall, but it's based off of willpower. So like to not just plummet to the ground if you fall off the boat or jump off the boat.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's just abandoned.
Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to take a little quick aside to explain step numbers because this is a big difference from D&D. So in Dungeons and Dragons, you know that you have your attribute, right? Like say you have an 18, then that translates into a bonus. So 18 is plus 4. Yeah. 16 is plus 3, 14 is plus 2. Then you take that bonus and you add it to, let's say, a proficiency bonus and a racial bonus and a class, in feature. You take all your bonuses, you add them together, and then you roll a d20 and add that number to it. Earthdawn is different in a way. You're still doing all of that, so that attribute on the sheet translates to another number, to a smaller number. That number is then added to the ranks you have in your disciplines or your skills, depending on or your talents or your skills, depending on what you're doing. If you're trying to do a weapon attack, you're doing a melee attack, you have a melee attack talent, you add the ranks in that to that step of your dexterity, to that value, and then that gives you a number. But you're not going to roll and add that number to a d20. You're going to look that number up on a chart, and it's going to tell you what to roll.
Ooh, interesting.
So flip your sheet over. That's the chart.
Oh.
So this is like, also, I'm doing D&D. This is like Savage Worlds. If you've ever played Savage Worlds, you know that attributes are die types. So you would have a D6, a D8, a D10, strength or perception or whatever it is. In this, as your steps go up, they go up in an order of what dice you're rolling. From a D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, 2D6, D8, D6, D8, D8, D10, D8.
So like level 24 is D20 plus D12 plus D10.
Yes.
Gotcha.
In this game, every time you roll the max number on a roll, on a die, you roll that die again and add it in.
Ooh.
And it goes on forever. If you keep rolling a 6 on a 6-sided die, you keep adding it in, keep adding it in, keep adding it in.
Until you know this is devastating.
Until you've just done, until it doesn't matter anymore, or you wipe someone off the map, depending on what it is. So, in this, the meta is you want to get to more than one dice as soon as possible.
Gotcha.
That's what the cusp is. You want to get your numbers to be even in D&D to get to the next level, the next bonus. In this, you want to get to that 2d6, because the more dice you roll, the more explosions happen.
So on the step action dice table, the steps are not the same as my levels.
No.
So it's not like level 1, level 2.
It's added in, so you'd have, if you took your air sailing at rank 1, you'd add rank 1 to your, I think it's dexterity step, whatever the step is.
And then roll a d4 minus 2.
Well, then your dexterity step is not going to be that bad. So you take your dexterity step, you add that 1 from the skill, then you look up that number. We haven't figured out your attribute steps yet,
Gotcha.
I'm just telling you that's what you're looking for.
Just for example, then, right now, my toughness is 11.
So your toughness is
So
11.
Here 11 would be a d10 plus d8? No.
Because just like an 18 isn't plus 18 in D&D, and 18 is plus 4. So that 10 isn't a step.
So an
11, that 10 is a 5.
What about 11? Is that a 6?
It's a 5.
Still a 5. So it would be a d8 then for mine.
And say, what's your dex right now?
Sorry, I'm missing a finger. 10.
10, so that's a 5. If you had air sailing at 1, then you'd be at a 6.
Oh, I see. So the skill plus
adds,
the attribute.
Just like in D&D, the attribute plus the proficiency plus whatever.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
This is this is my first time playing Earthdawn too, so I'm just trying to figure it out. My only basis for understanding is a little bit of Shadowrun, a little bit of Rifts, a little bit more 40k, just because we played that longer, and then this.
And Savage Worlds Rifts was the thing, so the Savage World system.
If you can find on the Wiley verse,
the YouTube channel down there has our entire campaign of D&D, the original D&D campaign, our Dragonborn campaign, and our Rifts campaign.
Some of our other random stuff.
All right, so now we need to start adjusting your attributes. So let's look at your core attributes and get them to a place you want them, and then we'll worry about the other things later. You'll shoot have points as long as you don't go crazy. So let's look at your dex. What is it at?
To the 10, which is unacceptable.
Yeah, 10 is okay, it's a 5, it's average, but you're going to want to at least get that to a 13.
I have 25 points to choose from.
You have 25 points, and it's a chart.
Okay.
So it's not one for one.
That's what I get. So if I want to add 3 to my dexterity, how many points is that going to
That
cost?
one does cost 3. So adding 1, 2, or 3 is its value, 1, 2, 3. Then once you get to 4, it starts jumping up.
So let's say I wanted to add it to 14.
If you want to get to 14, that's going to take 5 of your 25.
What if I want to make it 15?
That's going to take 7. And just to let you know, just like in D&D, there's like 16, 17 are both plus 3. And this, it goes by brackets of 3. So a 13, a 14, and a 15 are all step 6.
Let's do a 15 then.
Okay.
It's going to cost me to get to 15.
To 15, it'll cost you 7.
So that leaves me with 18 to work with. Let's also raise my willpower, because it's something that's important for this guy. It's literally at an 8, so let's get it to a 13, you said would be? No, it would be
13
12,
is the 13. 13 is the cusp of 6. 12 would be 5.
What will it cost me to get my willpower from 8 to 12?
8 to 12, so 4 would cost you 5.
Alright, let's do that. To 12. 5, you say? Alright. Let's do
Charisma.
some charisma, yeah. So let's do that also to 12 from 9.
So that's going to take 3, which is going to cost you 3.
So 10 points left. So now I want to raise my perception, because that's always a bonus.
What's your perception at?
10, so let's move it to 12 as well. It's going to cost 2.
Okay. So just to let you know, 10 to 12 is the same number.
Oh, okay, then 15.
13 is your cusp.
So if I change it to 13, or sorry, 14.
It's 13.
13. Let's do the 13.
Yeah. So from 10 to 13
Yep.
is 3. But you also want to go back and rethink, like, where were you at with your dex? Or, sorry, your charisma? You're at 12.
So I want to add 1 more to that.
Okay, so how much did we...
We added 3, so let's add 4 instead.
So that cost you an additional 2 points.
Alright, so we're down to 5. Perfect. So that keeps me at 13.
Yeah.
Alright.
Those are good cusps too, but
Let's do
working
wisdom.
on step.
Let's add wisdom 1 more too then, so it'll be 5.
Willpower?
It would be 5 instead of
4, so that's 2 more points.
More points, so it's at 5, so 3 left.
But those are also good ones to know, because they cusp differently than the others.
So let's...
So how many points do you have left?
I have 3. Let's dump those into...
Wait, hold on. You have something at a 15, right? Your dex?
My dex is 15.
Okay, and that started as a 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want to see if you can get...
Does it raise again when it's 16?
Right. So if you spend 2 more points, you can get that to 16.
Alright, let's spend 2 more points now. I've got 1 left.
And
so
that'll give you a +1 to one of the attributes you haven't already raised.
Let's do it to toughness.
Okay.
Alright, so now I have it.
Yeah.
So now my adjusted attribute sheet is dexterity at 16, strength at 13.
Okay. And those should be here.
Yeah, I'll just put them there for now.
Yep.
So 16 for dexterity, 13 for strength, 12 for toughness, 13 perception, 13 willpower, 13 charisma.
Okay. And actually, those you can leave them where you put them, because that is right now where they are.
Okay.
That column in the middle is as you start spending legend points. The more you raise an attribute, the more expensive it becomes. So you have to track your raises from legend points.
That seemed very rounded.
Yep. All right, now we're going to get your characteristics, which are derived off your attributes.
Okay.
Actually, let's just get your steps out of the way.
Okay.
So we'll get your steps. So
Dexterity is at 16.
That's a 7.
Step 7.
Yep.
All right. Strength is 13.
6.
Toughness is 12.
5.
Perception is 13.
6.
Willpower is 16 or 13, excuse me.
6.
And then charisma is also 13. So
6.
Okay.
All right. So now you can get your derived characteristics. So
All right.
Starting with
Physical defense.
physical defense is based off of your dexterity. It's how hard you are to hit. What's your dexterity?
16.
So 16 gives you a defense rating of 9. That's the target number someone needs to roll to hit you.
Okay, and we're using D6s in this game?
No, I just went through this. We're using these.
No, that's right.
That's right.
All right. I'm so hittable. All right.
Yeah.
Mystic defense.
That is based off of your willpower. Or no, sorry, your perception. What's your perception?
Which is a 13.
8.
Social defense.
That is based off your charisma.
13.
I think.
It seems so.
Might be willpower. No, it's charisma. Okay. 13 is 8.
All right. Physical armor.
You have no physical armor yet because you haven't bought any.
0. Ooh, mystic armor.
Mystic armor is based off your willpower.
13.
2.
Ooh. I wagered to guess that it was going to be 8 like everything else, and that would be correct. Okay, so now my physical defense is 9, mystic defense is 8, social defense is 8, physical armor is 0 because I have no physical armor
Yet.
and my mystic armor is 2. Oops, that's not good.
So on the next thing you have your carrying capacity.
Carrying capacity.
It's right underneath your
There we go,
defenses.
yeah.
What's your strength?
Strength is 13.
125.
Woohoo! That's not very much. Total weight? Does that have to do anything to do with comparing?
Not yet.
Okay, we'll figure that out as we go.
Right. So now at the bottom you have the recovery step. Oh, sorry, dexterity step, armor penalty, all your initiative stuff.
Gotcha.
So your initiative is your dexterity step.
Which is a... There we go. Dexterity step 7.
Right now you don't have any armor or
others. Initiative step is 7.
7, and you can look up what the dice roll is on the back.
That would be a D12.
Okay.
That's as high as I'm going to roll for anything. That's as high as my step goes.
Until you get talents that add on to that
Gotcha.
step.
All right.
So we can write that D12 in die.
Oh, there it is. Action dice.
Now we get to health, which is all kinds of interesting. So first off, we're going to find out how many recovery tests you have a day. This is like your hit dice in D&D where you use that to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Recovery test is how many times you can try to heal during a day after a rest. If you are injured at all, when you wake up in the morning, you have to spend one, and then you might have more that you can do throughout the day if you get attacked and stuff like
Gotcha.
that.
Okay.
So what is your toughness?
My toughness is 12.
That gives you 2 recovery tests.
Alright. Doesn't seem like very much. Do I need to figure out a recovery dice?
Yes, we will do that in a second. Where'd you write that in?
What did
The recovery test.
right here in the health, those little squares.
Ah, okay.
Actually, I probably just write 2 in that box and then fill them out as I go.
Yeah, recovery test is 2, and then the recovery dice is going to be your toughness step, I believe.
So a 5, which is D8.
All right. Your wound threshold. What's your toughness again? It's a 12, right?
Toughness is 12. Sorry,
12.
yes.
So your wound threshold is 8.
Ooh.
We'll talk about that in a second.
And then wound balance. What is that?
You don't have wound balance. It's a talent. You may get it with your discipline. You may not. I don't think you do, though. It's a thing that'll help you stay up. Oh, actually, no. Wound balance is what you roll to stay up when you get hit. There is a talent that will help you do that, but we'll get to that in a second.
All right.
All right. So you have unconscious rating and death rating.
Mm-hmm.
So your toughness is 12. Your unconscious rating is 24.
That's my base value.
Yep.
What's my durability?
You don't have any of that yet, but you'll get it immediately once we go to the discipline.
Perfect.
Your death rating is 29 plus your circle, so 30. Your circle 1, your first level character. So every level you add 1 to your death rating, plus your durability.
Gotcha.
So the way this works for damage is, so he has 24, that's essentially hit points. If he takes 24 damage, he goes unconscious. If he takes 30 damage, basically takes 6 more points, he's dead. If someone hits you and does 8 or more damage in one shot, they've wounded you. So it's not just a superficial scratch It's a real physical impairment. Every wound you have gives you a -1 on all tests. Also, once you take a wound, you must roll to see if you stand up or staying standing or get knocked down.
Gotcha.
And that's what that wound balance is.
Okay.
Wounds suck. They really detriment you in healing. They take entire recovery tests to get rid of, and you can't start healing regular damage until you get rid of your wounds.
So I was going
it's
to
all
ask you,
kinds of fun
does
stuff.
wound also kind of work like a hindrance where you have negative dice rolls?
Yes, negative. Every wound is -1 to all rolls.
Ugh. So is that the same for every wound? So one, to say I have 4 wounds is -4?
Yeah.
So I'm like, ugh.
That's for wounds.
Yeah.
Damage is damage. It doesn't matter.
No,
but-
yeah.
All right. So that seems to be all your characteristics. Defense ratings, health ratings, armor ratings. Your karma is your karma modifier times your level. You're level 1, so it's 5.
So I would look over here for karma dice, then would be...
Oh no, your karma die is a d6. It's that for everyone.
Okay.
So you have 5 points to spend. They're like inspiration. They're like fate points. You can use them to add a d6 to any roll.
Gotcha.
Any roll that's a talent and a discipline that has magic in it, you can funnel your karma into.
Gotcha.
All right. You've got your racial abilities. You got your Gahad. You got your low light vision. Now we're going to assign talent ranks, and spells. You don't have spells. So talents are the things. They're your abilities. They're your skills. But in this game, it's not like Dungeons and Dragons where everyone just has either a proficiency or not to hit, and you add strength or whatever. You actually can get more skilled at whatever your attack level is. So attacking is its own skill, dodging is a skill, all this stuff. Talents are your magically imbued ones. So they are part of your discipline. And once you are initiated into the circle, like whatever circle you're at, like you become a first circle air sailor, they teach you the fundamentals of all your talents. And once that's imprinted on you, they're there. Okay. You may not have them. If you have it 0, you can't use it. But you don't have to get training. You don't have to work like anyone else. You just spend your legend points, and they get better. So unlike normal people that have to, practice every day, you just get better because your magic is stronger.
So since we're talking about the meta sort of thing, does that mean that they've kind of gift me the knowledge that I have to open myself?
No, they train you.
They do train me.
They do train you, and they show you all the things, and your pattern connects with theirs.
So
essentially.
discipline is something like, say I went to a monastery yesterday. I'm not going to leave today with all the air sailor knowledge in a single day.
No, it'll take.
Okay.
It takes a lot longer than normal people. Like he said, like if you were to train a normal person to air sail, it would take him months to be competent at it.
Gotcha.
You get it in a week or less.
Okay. So we're quartering the time, maybe even
and
more.
Again, it's just natural to you because your magic infuses those abilities. So at first circle, your talents, you don't have to write all these down. You won't get them all. You should only write down the one you put points into, but these are all the ones you know from your discipline. So you have Avoid Blow. Avoid Blow is amazing. So you know how you have that 9 defense rating? Mm-hmm. So let's say someone hits you and they got a 12. You could say, I don't want to get hit. You take 1 point of strain, basically 1 point of voluntary damage. You then roll your discipline plus your dexterity plus your avoid blow step against the roll that they got to hit you. And if you beat their roll to hit you, you don't get hit. So you can just start negating people's hits every turn.
Sorry, I have to use the restroom so bad.
Yep.
That's right, we're right at 10:30 anyway.
So let's take a break.
Sorry, keep asking questions during the break.
I don't think the Lore Merchant needs to ask questions.
Ask Lore Merchant questions.
That's pretty neat. There's a whole bunch of things like I didn't know how to pronounce, and now that someone's here that knows how to pronounce them, I forgot them all. Is the big horror's name Vergigorm? Is that how you say that? Vergigorm. What? Well, welcome. I am flattered that you're watching this little stream, our little corner of the internet. As you can probably tell, we don't get a whole bunch of viewers. We just got affiliate, I think, a month ago. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm sure I've read... No, I was a Kickstarter, so I read all your emails. I really, really like Earthdawn. You may not have been here when I showed it. But, so here's my second edition book, which I bought. I never played second edition, though, but here is my first edition. I played this so much that the spine fell off. It's just worn out. And I still have character sheets in here that were done on dot matrix printing. That's how old and how much I've been playing Earthdawn. Oof.
Sorry, baby bladder plus I'm overhydrated due to injury. Drink that water.
So, Avoid Blow is a very important defensive ability. I would suggest taking it at first level.
Gotcha.
Climbing. Climbing is what you think it is, but again, it's part of your magic, so you get really good at it, and it's nearly supernatural how fast you can climb because of it. Going up and down the rigging, things like that. Melee weapons. If you want to fight, that's how you do it. That's going to be important. Thread weaving, air weaving. That's called air weaving. So threads are a big thing in this game. That's how you tie yourself to patterns. You basically make a little astral thread from your pattern to another person's pattern or an item's pattern. When you want to get magic items, you're going to need to weave threads to it. If you want to make a group bond with people, you're going to weave threads to it. It is later game stuff. If you're not a spellcaster, don't waste points on thread weaving at first circle.
Is this unweaving thing that you're playing on the other D&D night? Is that Earthdawn you guys are playing?
No, it's D&D, but it's something. And the last of your discipline talents is Windcatcher, and that is Featherfall. That allows you to jump off, float, and pick your landing spot. That's how you board other ships, or if you get thrown off or jump off the airship, that's how you not die.
Can I use catch wind, not just Featherfall, but can I kind of launch myself?
No, it's really just a falling ability.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's 2 negate damage and control.
And these are discipline.
So these are discipline talents. You'll notice that you have this talents up here.
Yep.
And it says discipline talents. Then you have another section that calls other talents. There are talents that are not part of your core discipline. So besides those 5, you get to pick one more from a group, and this is how you personalize your character to what you're doing. Versus are you the more acrobatic, or are you the more fighter type, or are you the more charisma type, and this is how you're going to customize that. So
this is the D&D specialization at this point.
Correct.
Okay.
And you build this every time you get a circle. So you have these pools. So this is novice. First through 4th circle is novice. Every time you level, you're going to pick another one of these to add to your repertoire.
Gotcha.
Okay. Then when you hit journeyman, you have these talents added into that, and then you pick out of these pools, and it keeps going. So you keep customizing your character as you go further. So of these, you have acrobatic defense, which is a type of avoid blow, but it lasts the entire round. It's not just for one thing. Basically, you can replace your defense rating for the round with your acrobatic defense instead of avoiding every blow that comes in on you. And you can't avoid every blow that comes in on you.
This is almost like taking a stance.
Right, yeah. It's actively weaving and bobbing and dodging an entire time versus a single parry or a single dodge.
Gotcha.
First impression. That's exactly what it sounds like. It's that winning smile. It's the Isarok eye. Yeah. It's to get people to want to help you. Great leap. This is where you want to jump to another ship. That's the way to do it. Haggle. You want to be supernaturally good at getting prices down.
Like in real life, yeah.
Maneuver. I'm not too sure what maneuver does. I think it's a way to get more movement out of a turn or specialized movement, but we can look it up if you need it. Navigation. Speak language, if you want to add some more languages, which you can also use with skills, so I wouldn't recommend that one.
Yeah.
Taunt. It's to get someone to attack you, but also to... They're bad at it. They're frustrated. And throwing weapons. If you want to know how to throw some hand axes or spears.
So with my discipline talents, I get these automatically.
You know them. You haven't spent any points on them yet.
Gotcha.
Right now, we're about to spend points, but you need to pick one of these, or you can pick one of these talents to add to that list as well.
The other talents.
Yeah. Well, it's not another. It's a discipline. It becomes a discipline talent.
Okay, so I'm picking from these acrobatic first impression.
Yes,
I'm
you're picking from those.
Discipline talent.
They're called talent options. So, for you, I mean, you're an orc.
What is navigation?
Navigation is navigating, finding your way to things, but it's a little bit supernatural. So it's, are you lost? Do you need to do a shortcut? You roll navigation to get there faster.
Taunt. Let's be obnoxious.
Okay. All right. Taunt. So you add that into like the list up top. Now you have 8 points to put in. Taunt is nice. You have 8 points to put into these talents. If you don't put any points into a talent, don't write it down.
Gotcha.
You can only go up to rank 3, so you can only put 3 points in a single one. Right off the bat, I'd say like at the top of the list, because you're going to be using it most often as melee. Yeah, every time you attack, you're going to be using that. So that should be at the top.
Let's do melee weapon.
Melee weapons.
Let's do 2.
Okay.
Rank.
Rank 2, yes.
Plus attribute.
Yeah, we'll get that in a second.
So melee weapons, so that's 2 of my points.
The other 2 I would say you shouldn't not have is Avoid Blow and Wind Catcher.
So let's do those. Avoid Blow at 2 as well. And then Wind Catcher.
Probably just put 1 in that for now.
1. Gives me 3 points left, so let's do...
Yeah.
You can do
Taunt at 1, climbing at 1.
Taunt at 1.
Actually, pretty good there. Taunt at 1, climbing at 1. You don't need thread weaving. You've got all the others, so...
I have 1 point left over, though.
So another...
Add 1 to melee weapon.
Another one in melee, or another one in wind catcher. When we start getting steps, and you find if you're on the cusp of one, we can move that point around.
So
but that's a pretty good start.
So 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I spent my 8 points on melee weapon, avoid blow, wind catcher, taunt, and climbing. Look at handwriting. What the hell is Chinden?
So let's go ahead and get you some of these written down. Get the stats out.
All right.
Melee weapons is a standard action, so write ST in the action column.
All right.
Strain is 0. Oh, yes. Well, I'll get that in a second. So in other talents, write air sailing. You get that for free, and it always equals your circle, so you have it at rank 1.
All right.
That's not... I want to know if I'm doing this right. So those free talents aren't discipline talents. They don't work towards your circle advancement, correct? That's a more complex
This
question.
is fun. We have an author of the book.
Yeah, right here.
Watching us learn how to play this.
It's amazing. So standard action.
Lore Merchant, you're the man.
Standard action, strain 0, skill use, that's not on there. Next is rank, which you already have. The attribute is dex, so you can write dex in there, or you can just put the step of your dex in there.
So 7 would be the step of the dex.
So, 7?
That's the attribute.
Yeah, so your dex...
It says equals step.
Yeah, and now you add your rank plus your dex step.
So just make sure I got this right. So it's a ST, it's a regular attack. Strain is 0, rank is 3, attribute is 7 for the
7
step.
for your dex. Yeah, your dex step.
So this equals 10.
So now flip the sheet over.
So 10 gives me 2d8.
That's a good melee weapon roll.
Alright.
Okay, so your...
Avoid blow.
Avoid blow. Let's go back here to A's. Void blow is standard... no, it's not a standard action. It's a reaction, I believe. So it might be free. But it costs 1 strain. I know that.
So FR for free?
Let me find it first. Just write in 1 strain for now.
Mm-hmm.
Avoid blow is free. So I didn't know the nomenclature for D&D mode with reactions.
So this attribute is also my dexterity?
Also your dexterity.
So 7, so 10 again.
Nice.
2d8.
So 2d8. That's nice.
Alright.
Alright, we're going to do air sealing since I'm here.
Alright. The action type and the strain.
The action type is sustained, so SU. Strain is 0, and your attribute is willpower.
Willpower, so 13, so it's a 6. So my step is 7.
That should be...
Which is a d12.
Okay.
What is air sailing this side?
That's sailing the boat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's working on it, doing the rigging, all that stuff. Alright. What's next?
Wind catcher.
Wind catcher's fun.
We can do it alphabetically or climbing if you want.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I kind of know where these are because I was looking at them earlier. I anticipated you picking Air Sailor.
Air sailor, yeah.
My NPC, as your skill, has air sailing.
There you go.
To be on the boat with you. So Wind Catcher is a standard action, ST. Strain is 1, and Willpower is the attribute.
Gives
So
me
it's a
a
D12
step
again?
of 8,
Oh,
which is
2d6. That's the
yeah.
cusp you want to hit on things,
Yep.
is that 8.
Alright. Next is taunt.
Taunt. And we'll read what that does real quick, since I'm not familiar with it as much as I should be. It's been since the last edition. So taunt, simple action, so SI. You can do that and attack in a turn, essentially.
This is like a bonus action. Almost.
Yeah. And strain is 1. The attribute is charisma.
6 gets me 8 as well, so 2d6 is my action. So, when we say strain, how does strain affect my character?
So every time you use an ability with strain, you take a point of damage. Or you take that many points of damage. Some things have a higher strain. So like avoid blow, it's a trade-off. You don't want to get hit by that great axe, so you take 1 point of damage in the hope you're not going to get hit by that, massive
so
damage.
my hit point total?
It's that unconscious rating.
Oh, 24 would be...
Once you get 24 damage, you go unconscious.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. So climbing is the last skill we need to go over.
So taunt, I just want to read this so you know what it does. The adept distracts a character who must be able to understand him by insulting and humiliating him. He makes a taunt test against the target's social defense. If successful, the target incurs a -1 test penalty and subtracts -1 from his social defense for each success you earn for a number of round equal to your taunt rank. So what's your rank in taunt is 1?
Yes.
Yeah. So for 1 turn, you're going to give someone -1 to all abilities and social defense for however much you get over his defense.
Does it also draw them to battle with me?
No.
No.
But like they're distracted by you, and that's like role playing is. Does he turn to you?
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay, climbing.
Climbing is it.
What's the success steps? Is it every 5? So just getting over the number, like to hit your defense, getting a 9, hit you, getting a 14 is an extra success. So that's 2 successes to hit.
Gotcha.
Onward, onward, onward.
This is super neat though, having War Merchant here. Like, what are the chances?
Climbing. So climbing is no strain, standard action. Dex is your attribute. That it clambers up or down a vertical surface.
Alright, so all of my action dice are doubles. 2d8, 2d8, 2d6, 2d6,
And that's
2d6.
good. Cool.
Except for my air sailor, which is a d12, but I have an air sailor with me, so that should be okay.
So, now we go into that you're starting your sign tolerance. we'll get your other abilities in a second. We're going to get to some...
We can summon him by using Earthdawn in a tweet.
Every time someone... Cling, I almost sent that without putting hashtag Earthdawn. I put Earthdawn in the title of what we were doing, but I almost didn't do the hashtag. And I'm like, oh, I need to put that in there, too. So... Oh, you have starting abilities. So... Everyone has an ability called Durability, and every level it affects you. And this is your magic strengthening you and making you tougher. So
discipline abilities and half magic?
No, it's on the front next to your unconscious rating and death rating. So your durability is going to add...
Oh, durability. I see. Yep.
It's going to add right into your ratings. Your durability is 5. So just right off the bat, add 5 and put that in your current value.
All right.
So, and it's to both unconscious and death.
Oh.
So.
Nice.
Yeah, and you're going to get 5 every level, every circle.
Interesting.
So, ding, ding, ding.
All right. So even though this sounds really in-depth, this sheet is actually pretty easy to read. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. It's really nicely laid out. I printed out the form fillable one. I really like that sheet's layout.
Well, gimpy.
Alright, now we're going to assign skill ranks. So skill ranks are things you've learned like a normal human. These are not infused with magic. They don't normally have anything to do with your discipline.
So this is just things I've picked up in my day-to-day life that don't have anything to do with who I am or what I am.
A lot of these are going to be knowledges and artisan skills. We're going to get to the importance of artisan skills in a second. Okay. There are also languages, but many skills can be used non-magically, like melee weapons. Anyone can learn to strike with a melee weapon. It just takes longer for the normal person to be good at it, where you're just learning it. It's just becoming better because of your magic infusion. So, for example, if you played a character that didn't have melee weapons, like they never got it, like a spellcaster, you could take it as a skill and progress it normally through practice and a lot of legend points.
So what's the point of having different skills versus talents then? Why would
you would always want a talent if you can. Alright, well thank you for hanging out as long as you did. It's amazing to have you here.
Lord Merchants, it's fun for us to spread the love of your game, but it's really awesome for you to come down and help us out and really watch and pay attention.
That's so cool. Thank you.
Wileyverse plays quite a bit. We play a regular campaign on 9:30 Eastern, Pacific time at the moment. We're in Tucson. We play a regular ongoing Dragonborn campaign. We're on episode 38 tomorrow. We usually play a Sunday game kind of off and on, but we jump in with board games and stuff from time to time, so you're more than welcome to please come back.
And I'm definitely trying to get an Earthdawn game in the rotation as we get people in on the system.
Skilled enough to play.
I love it.
We're all beginners.
So, talents take a large amount of legend points, way more than your talents do. Cool.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Lord Merchant.
They also take money to hire a trainer to help you get better most of the time, or time.
These are talents, you're saying?
Skills.
Skills, okay.
Skills take time or money for an instructor. Either you work on your own and try to get better, or you hire someone to teach you.
Talents are given, skills are earned. Gotcha. Okay.
You just enhance your talents because they're magically infused. Skills are really.
So what's the point though? What's the difference between using the talent versus using the skill?
In effect, mostly the same. There could be some differences, but there's no difference between a melee weapon attack from a soldier that's not an adept and you just get better at it faster, almost supernaturally so.
So I guess my question then
there are some abilities that have differences because of the non-magic nature of them.
So then the main reason to have talents and skills separated like this is for ease of advancement.
Right. To know which one you're advancing at what level.
Gotcha. All right.
So
beginner questions.
Very much. So one of the most important and first things you should look at is artisan skills. So long ago, when the horrors were first being introduced and they first started coming and the name giver races started encountering them, they learned something very fast, and that's horrors cannot create They are beings of destruction. They don't have the capacity or the attention span to make something or see the beauty in things or even conceptualize that. They just want pain, they want to destroy, they want to take apart.
Gotcha.
So, now we're going to get into something else that horrors do. Horrors not only cause you physical pain or want to kill you or want to like kill your loved one to make you feel sorrow. No. They're an astral creature. They can do a whole lot more than just those pedestrian things. They can mark your very soul. And once they do that, you're pretty much theirs. They can talk to you at any time. They can cast abilities on you or through you to anyone around from anywhere. They could be hundreds of miles away and they could just light you on fire if they have that ability.
So what's the propensity for that occurrence? Like how often does that happen?
Thankfully, rare, but if you're ever in the presence of a true horror, it is a threat because they can just do it if they can have line of sight to you.
It's kind of like forcing mental checks into the world where this is scary.
Yeah.
No, it's...
And for magic users, if they do what's called casting raw, if they just pull their magic from the raw astral plane, if you're familiar with Shadowrun, the drain feature, that's pulling polluted astral magic through you, and Shadowrun people just do it. They don't know any better. In this world, they've created things called matrices that you put the spell slots into, and it filters the astral, and it keeps them safe. If you cast raw without a matrix, you just send up a flare into the astral realm, and horrors from miles away could go...
So they flock to your draw.
Yeah, and they don't even need to go to you. They can just mark you if they're in the vicinity of a couple miles. So spellcasters are a lot more danger than regular people. But once they do that, it's bad, and they talk to you.
By multiple entities, so you could end up just being a conduit.
Oh, and you're just a pawn at that point. The only reason you're still alive is because they want to use you to hurt other people, and they want to get every little bit of sorrow and suffering from you.
And what is the character's awareness of the situation? Do they understand what's happening to them?
You don't know. You're marked until they start talking to you, and then you do. Then you know. But a lot of them just leave it be, and they don't talk. You're marked and you have no idea, and you're going through and they start like casting spells through you.
So when they cast a spell through me, just for congruency's sake, like say they cast ice, do I do the motions and yell ice, or just ice just appears? So we don't know, none of us knows where that even came from. Oh, okay.
And then people can start suspecting if they want to or not, and that's what comes next. Someone who's marked, generally at first you'll be fine, but if they start talking to you, it's over. It's going downhill fast. But the longer you're marked, even not knowing it, the more corrupt your pattern becomes, and you start to not, you start to fall, essentially. And they found, it's not foolproof, but they found that people that are marked or tainted or corrupted by horrors or minions of them don't have the capacity anymore to create art. So it is a thing that people do, like everyone in the entire world, adept and normal, even more important for adepts because you're so powerful, since you're so powerful and dangerous, to do an artistic skill, and people will call on you. Hey, we need to see you art, before we let you in our community, let's see your art, type of thing. So,
it was kind of like
artistic spells.
We win through culture.
Yeah, so artistic talents or skills are a must. There are some common ones for each class, but you aren't set in stone to this. You can pick anything else. For air sailors, it's generally rune carving, like carving into wood. You carve stories into the boat and all that kind of stuff. Or sail embroidery, like embroider a sail and all that kind of stuff. But there's nothing stopping you from doing embroidery or dance or singing or knowing an instrument.
I actually like sail embroidery. It sounds interesting, but let's listen to some of the other skills. Excuse me, sorry.
If you want me to go to actual rest of the skills.
I think I'm going to take sailor embroidery because every sailor should know how to mend socks and write their name. If you can put the two together, that's artistic.
So example artisan skills are acting, baking, basket weaving, body painting, carving, cooking, crafting, like craft armor or craft weapon. Generally, your crafting will be like have aesthetics. It's
I
not
like
just
body paint
rugged.
too. Like, prove you're not a whore. Bring me a naked woman and some paints.
That's like
oh, shit.
generally for yourself.
No,
Like
it's just fun.
Sky Raiders would do that, like the wood. And all that kind of
so
stuff.
basically that would show like a symbol on the face.
And like the patterns and all that kind of stuff. Juggling, embroidery, map making, musician, poetry, rune carving, sculpting, singing, storytelling, tattooing, wardrobe and style. Also, besides artisan skills like those, there are performance skills like storytelling, singing, instruments. They can substitute as artisan skills as well.
Let's go with the sew and work. Embroidery.
Okay, so embroidery. You get that at rank 1, and all artisan skills are based off of charisma. It's a sustained action, by the way.
Sustained is
With
ST?
SU.
SU, oh, that's right. Strain.
0. That's
Alright, so 7 puts me at 2d8.
alright.
For showing how good I am at sewing.
Yes. So now on the back, you're going to find languages at the bottom. It's next to the step chart.
Alright.
Okay. So pretty much because of the place, because of the Book of Tomorrow, language is kind of set. They get a little freedom, but to save time, you speak Dwarven. Everyone does, or Dwarf. And in parentheses next to that, put R/W. It's the only language you read and write.
Read and write, okay. I was
So you do speak and then you read and write. It's important to know because reading and writing is a different skill than speaking, and for the most part, Dwarven is the only written language that people know, and it's common everywhere.
It's common then, okay.
Yeah.
So Dwarven language is the common in this game.
Yes.
Okay.
And you also know Orzet. OR''ZET. That is the orc language.
Speak it, read it, write it?
Nope. You just speak it.
Can't read it?
Nope.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
Now, you can spend points to get that if you wanted, if it was important to you. And we'll get to your assigning that. Now you get knowledge skills. All knowledge skills are based on your perception step, and you get 2 points.
Where do knowledge skills go?
They're going to go under just the skills section.
Okay. Talents or skills, sorry.
Yeah. So you're going to put like a K and W to denote it's a knowledge skill, and then you're going to have a specialty in it. You can have 2 ranks in one thing or 1 rank in 2 things, but this is your worldly knowledge. Let me give you some examples. Knowledge. Alchemy and potions, ancient weapons, baking, bar save history, botany, court dancing, creature lore, knowing about monsters and creatures and animals, discipline lore, knowing specifically about a discipline. So you'd pick one like air sailor lore, so you'd know about famous air sailors, or just the things about air
lots
sailor.
of famous battles. Understanding why they use the water that way.
Some of it would encompass that, and some of it's like really more the meta of being an air sailor.
Gotcha.
Because then there's also like there's farming, there's horror lore, legends and heroes. That's where you get legendary people and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Military organizations, province history. So you pick a area like the orc lands and you know about them. Racial lore, you know about orcs in general, specifically. Scourge history, about the time in the cairns and all that. Trade routes, wild animals. Trade routes is a good one, and I've seen that a lot for air sailors and those type of people.
I was going to say, I would like to do trade routes with that one, and horror knowledge, because
If
the
that's
air
what you-
sailors have been around for a while. We've probably seen more than most.
Yeah, and like the Earthdawn was like the first vessel out, so you may have like
Been
read.
fascinated by the
I
fact
can't
that-
remember. I can't remember the guy's name. Lower Merchant left, but the scout that originally went out, that captained the Earthdawn, you maybe read some of his writings about the horrors he encountered and things like that.
So with trade route knowledge and horror knowledge, are these sustained actions, or are these...
Correct. They're standard or sustained. You can. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just knowledge.
Restrain is 0.
Yep.
So
Perceptions.
perceptions are all of them.
Correct.
Alright, so 7 and 7. Alright, I think I only have one single dice roll, and that's my air sailing. Everything else is multiple dice.
So now you have 8 more points. Is it 8? Yes, 8 additional skill points to put in. You can increase those if you want, up to 3. You can add more languages. You can add read and write to your Orzette for 1 point. But there's also a whole bunch of other skills to go through really quick. Artisan is what we already talked about. You can pick up another one or increase yours. Bribery, crafting, craft armor, craft weapon, or craftsman, like carpentry, things like that.
The homie, luckily it's not up to you. It's in the core rules.
Yeah, it's just given to him. Free handouts over here.
Making a character at level 1 in Earthdawn, I get 8 points to put in my skills.
Disguise, entertainer, that's the singing, storytelling, instruments. Flirting, forgery, more knowledge skills, map making, physician, pilot boat, not air sailing, like an actual water boat, sailing, so pilot boat is, specifically to the river boats.
Earthdawn.
Yeah, Earthdawn. So what this is Wiley vs. Mitch. We pick a game, then we introduce it to Mitch. He's a kind of a newer gamer, so I take one of my games that I have lots of, I whip it out, we go over the history, we make him a character, we play some encounters to show how it works. Then I pull in something from the later progression of the game and murder him with it to show you, the danger level of the game and the lethality.
As short as those parts are, they end up being the most fun. Just like he rolls 12 d6 against my armor class 3. Always fun. Alright, so I definitely want to... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Pilot boat. Pilot boats, the river boats, those are the steam powered essentially. Sailing is sailing ships, but again, still water. Seduction, streetwise, swimming, and that's it.
Okay.
Then there's also a list of skills that are talents that can also be used as skills.
Well, let's add read write to Orzette.
Okay, that's 1 point.
1 point, so there's that. I would like to add another point to trade routes.
So trade routes.
So that makes the rank higher.
Yes.
So 2, and that cost me 1.
Mm-hmm. So you've spent 2 points of your 8 so far.
So
and he's doing skills right now. I don't know if you're familiar with the Earthdawn. So talents are your magically infused abilities that you're really good at, and skills are the things you've learned physically with time and effort. Every character in Earthdawn is an adept, magically infused to be better than a regular person.
And the steps are 7. These are d12s, not 2d8s.
Say 2d8s.
That's crazy. So all these attributes that are at 7 are actually d12s, not 2d8s. I don't know where I got that from.
Aww.
Oh, 10, sorry. Those are 10s.
Yeah.
I see what I did wrong.
Yeah, you're looking at your attribute, not your combined. Yes. But this isn't D&D. I miscategorized apparently and put us in the Dungeons & Dragons instead of the general tabletop. This is Earthdawn, which is another fantasy style game done by FASA Publishing.
Do another one for Knowledge Horror.
He is getting to the end of the character creation, and we're going to go through several encounters, basically a beginning adventure, but they're just going to be set pieces, because we're going to run through that, and then give him encounters, show how dice rolls work, and then I'm going to murder him.
Let's take map making.
Okay. That is based off perception.
Should be cartography, but whatever.
Yes.
So attribute
you can write
is
perception.
It's a 6 here. Rank is 1. Sustained or standard?
Sustained, because it takes a
Makes
while.
sense, yeah. It's a 7. It's a d12. I have 5 points left. I can't put those in talent, so let's go to the skills only. Let's add one to embroidery just for fun.
You want to learn haggling or...
Let's do haggling next.
Actually, haggling is an ability you get as a talent later on, so you might not want to take it as a skill. You'll then overwrite it with your talent.
Let's do flirting, because...
Flirting. Yeah, why not?
Swashbuckler. Flirting.
Flirting skill.
Rank 1, right?
Rank 1?
Sustained or standard?
Sustained. Charisma.
Charisma. 6. No strain. 7, 12. 4 points left. Let's up flirting to 2. Make it an 8.
It is very similar. The worlds are different. The lore of them, and the system is completely different. Instead of a D20 based system, this is a multiple dice roll system. But it is like if you understand D&D, you can understand Earthdawn. It's the same kind of fantasy world.
Actually, I don't know if you can actually do it. No, you can't go back in this. We actually had one of the writers of this book hang out with us for a little bit earlier and was giving us some heads up about things. It was pretty interesting. If you watch the YouTube video later, you can check it out. Throw some other skills at me. Flirting, not making. Let's do water boat, so pilot boat.
Sailing.
Sailing. There we go. Sailing will make that 2 as well. Gives me 1 point left. Sailing. 2, 0, sustained. And sailing is a dex thing, willpower?
It is the same as what's your air sailing? That was willpower, I think. It was willpower.
So 8. Alright, 6. 1 point left. Let's just go ahead and raise map making to 2, so I just have 2 all the way around. Alright, so there's that. The adventure should begin very shortly, I believe. We're wrapping up character creation right now, and then we're just going to do a couple of really quick encounters, and then he'll kill me.
Look at one thing. We'll talk about more stuff. I just need to see this. Weird. Alright. So you got your language, you got your general, you got your artisan skills. Now you equip your character. You have some basics. So on the back you have equipment. You have an adventurer's kit. Has a whole bunch of stuff in it. Backpack, bedroll, flint and steel, torch, water skin, large sack, things like that.
Wait.
Don't worry about it.
Alright.
Artisan tools. You have the tools necessary to do your skill, your embroidery. Earthdawn! You have a dagger or a knife. Dagger would be a weapon, but a knife would be utilitarian more.
Dagger.
You have traveler's garb. Trail rations for 1 week. And the standard currency in this game is silver. Gold is not used unless it's a very, very big amount, like huge purchases and stuff.
Silver I have.
So, 100 to start with.
Ooh.
And we're going to equip your character.
Turning armor and weapon.
You need a weapon and you need armor. That's pretty much what you're going to spend it on.
Alright. That's a good way to do it. Actually, so that's the purpose of this, is that I've only been playing for about 2 years. I've never played an RPG in my life. As far as like tabletop is concerned, this guy ended up being a DM. He's a customary place that I work. I got to know his brother, got to know him. So actually, when we play our Dragonborn campaign, one of the other characters and me are brand new. All of our videos, all of the Wiley vs. Mitch, this is the third one. These are introductory courses for different RPGs. But if you want to see some beginning stuff, the YouTube channel we have also does some Savage Riffs, and then you can see our Dragonborn campaign from the first session all the way up to 37 as we get better. So this is actually the place to come if you're new. This is a good place to learn. Also, with that many people playing with you, they'll help you out, they'll give you suggestions, but remember, player, what do you call it? You guys are always, Robert and you guys are always player...
Player knowledge?
No, not player knowledge, not advocacy, like...
Oh, now that you've said it, player agency.
Agency. Remember that you're your own character, role play yourself.
Don't let
people pigeonhole you, because we end up having some of our best experiences when one of us does something against the group or does something that they should have done, even though we try to talk them out of it. We end up having a lot more role play fun like that, because game mechanics are game mechanics. Battle is always going to be battle. Your rogue, your bard, your fighter, your paladin, they have places in the fight outside of the fights where you're really going to find your fun, where it's really going to be interesting to role play your character. We just did we do a continuation one-off every Sunday as much as we can. We just had our fourth session with a group of 2 or 3, and we literally had a pure role play session on Sunday. 3 straight hours, no combat, just talking and manipulating. But it's fun, it happens. Enjoy.
So, what kind of weapon do you see yourself using? You want a sword? You want a battle axe? A sword?
No, sword. Maybe a halcyon, something that's kind of piratey looking.
Okay.
Was a good session.
Alright, so write down however you want to write it. It's kind of a sword is a sword in this game, so.
Sword.
Sword. The damage step is 5.
That determines my damage dice.
That adds to your strength step.
Oh, so 11. Burp.
To determine your damage dice.
D10 plus D8.
Alright, what else does that ask for in the weapons?
Times forged.
Oh, yeah, that's when the weapon master, the discipline, specifically the, what's it called? He's right here. Yeah, the weaponsmith. The weaponsmith works on your blade. You can increase the damage. Every time he does it, it adds another step to your weapon.
Gotcha.
So it's really nice. 0 at the moment.
All right. Range. Close.
Melee, yeah.
All right, that's it.
All right. So now you. Oh, that cost you 25 of your 100.
Ooh.
I mean, things are expensive.
Capitalism.
Now you want some armor. Now remember that you are in the air.
Yep.
So you don't want to do anything too heavy, restrictive.
Wasn't a quick little dude.
Yep. So there's some options for you. Let's look in your price range. There's leather, there's hide, there's hardened leather.
How much is hardened leather? Hardened
leather is 40, but it will give you an initiative penalty of 1. So your initiative will go down.
I am an orc. Is this traditional orc style? Like,
sure, if you want it.
I'm just saying, like, in Earthdawn, do the races have similar things? So a normal human class fighter and chaotic neutral. My back is literally that I'm a soldier, like my father and his father before me, because I wanted to make some discipline and most of my family ties and stuff. That's totally fine.
Yeah, the humble beginnings and simplistic characters are a great way to start and view everyone. We
play our Dragonborn campaign. We're all from the same clan, so our background is we all know each other because we grew up together. Like, that's literally the backstory. It's a lot. You build it as you go. Like some of my other ones, like Kamir his dad was a thief, so he's a thief, and I have a sorcerer who found wild magic once he went to the Fae. Like, it doesn't matter. Simple's easy. It's actually better because then they're like, "Where are you from?" You're like, "Whoa, I started on the coast of Arsinium before finding my real." No, that's a Navigus kind of way to go. So, Navigus zing.
Hardened leather.
Hardened
leather armor has been boiled and coated in wax to be made harder than normal leather. This armor protects the character's entire body except for the forearms, legs, and legs below the knee.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Because he's gonna be slowed down because he wants to look orcish. Hardened leather. Physical.
5.
Mystical.
None.
Penalty.
1.
Perfect.
So now on the front, first off, you have your initiative at the bottom. Sorry, at the bottom of this.
Oh, initiative.
So your initiative, you have a penalty of 1. So now subtract that from that.
Dang it. So that makes the total 6, which changes the action dice. I see how this works.
Yeah. Now under your physical defense, whichever way you want to work it, if you want that to be your natural value, and add 5 to it. So, sorry, not your defense. Physical armor. I'm over here. 5.
Oh, there it is. Physical armor 5.
Yeah.
All right. Now, my mystic armor is 2, despite the fact that I'm not wearing anything. It's just my mental acuity against mystic arts.
Correct. It's just your willpower to stop from getting damaged.
All right.
All right. That cost you 40, so that's 65 out of your 100. There really isn't much else to buy.
It's okay. You can stop there.
Unless you want to like a buckler shield type of thing or something like that.
No. Well, no, I'm pirate. No shields. Get out of here.
Okay.
Shields, me orc.
The last parts are just, fleshing the character out. Where are you from? Why are you up in the air? Your traits, like what do you like, what you don't like.
I'd say that I'm an air sailor because my father was an air sailor and I kind of followed in his footsteps. I like loyalty. I dislike stagnation. Like I don't want to stay in the same place for too long. I'd rather be in the air or on the water. I like map making, so my spare time is spent usually making maps or maybe even embroidering them. Making embroidered maps as gifts, that sort of thing, or as magical items, because I can put my... So what do I... Can weave some...
No, that's just a skill.
Cool. So I just embroider a lot of maps. Alright. Arab is his name. A-R-O-B. Arab. Arab the air sailor orc. Who wears a slightly heavier armor to look orcish at the expense of his own initiative. It's a very orc thing to do. So this is the part where we take somewhere between an hour and a half while he reads the rest of the book.
There's something I completely missed. Whoa.
These are good answers. These guys are good at coddling new players, Nabocus and Wiley here, so these are good examples.
There it is. Alright.
Race for that.
Who knows? Okay, so one last thing to put in is right here at this wound balance. You don't have the wound balance talent, so that is just your strength step. Just put the die in there. I mean, you could have read it off that. Oh, you didn't put them up here. Mm-hmm. You should put your dice in here first. Yeah. So once you got all the steps, so in this game, you have values based off your attributes, and everything is called a step. So once your attributes distill down to its step, there's a chart which has all the dice that you roll at those steps. For example, if you have a step of 7, it's a d12, and you would roll a d12 to try to get your action done.
You can see here on this side that each of my attributes comes with a dice type. It might be kind of hard to see with the pencil.
So everything in this game modifies that step score, not your roll, not the dice that hit the table. So if I give you a penalty of -2, you take that off the step and roll those dice. So
okay. So
if you have this 10
and you give
and I give you a -2, you now have an 8.
So it would be a 2d6 instead of 2d8.
So in this, you have different varying levels of chances of succeeding based on the target number and the dice you're rolling. And when I give you penalties or negatives, it's sliding your potential to get that skill, to get that roll. So, we are going to begin. You are on a boat. You want to name that boat? Or you want me to name that boat?
On a boat? You know, I'll spend all night naming boats. You should just name it. So every time we play a game, I have an affinity for rogues and specifically sailors, and this one combined the two, so I was kind of like, hey. In fact, I do it so often that he bet against that and made characters to go with Air Sailor.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking through. I'm like, he normally goes thief, but he might not like that super selfish version because it's not a rogue; it's a thief.
It's a thief.
So I'm like, I bet he's gonna go with Air Sailor.
That's what I did. He got me. My finger.
Yeah, you see what he did to his finger, Nab?
Air Sailor is best, second only to Wizard. Come on now, Wizard is just a wizard. I was trying to lose some weight, so I cut some of my finger off. Yeah.
The boat you were on is called the Silver Sail.
I'm taking more notes for this than I have.
It is an airship, so just get that out there. I could call it a boat. It is a masted vessel. It has sails, but they're kind of triangular. This thing floats through the sky. Generally, not up to like cloud level, but it gets to like mountainous level. Like you're gonna go across or around mountains and
since this is a class, since Air Sailor is a class, are these boats propelled magically, or have they mastered keeping things aloft through airflow and atmosphere?
So the buoyancy, the reason it's up in the air is because it has true air and something else in it. I think it's true air and it might be true water to essentially make it buoyant in air.
Gotcha.
So that's what does that, but it doesn't have a propulsion system, so it still uses sails. So it still needs to catch wind.
Oh.
It just floats, and it has another, essentially another steer to go up and down. You know, how much of the air is in the water, the true air is in the true water, it affects the buoyancy. So you can do that by changing that mix of the magic, but to go forward, it has to have wind.
So in points of stagnation, are there like sail rowers?
Yes, maybe. There are, you put them out and they have little sails on them and you...
Interesting. Yeah.
But in this case, you don't have to do that because you have an elementalist on board who...
What?
Your ship was outfitted with essentially an air pot or an air cannon. So you have a limited amount of this true air that you can open up and fill your own sails with. Gives you a very good tactical advantage, but it doesn't last forever, and it should only be used in emergencies. And you have this elementalist there to use that to, like, she's the one that operates the air cannon.
Gotcha.
Besides that, your ship is equipped with one fire cannon. That is, it's magical cannon essentially that shoots true fire to burn other boats.
Interesting. Okay. Now you've said this a couple of times. Maybe you mentioned it earlier, but I don't exactly know what is true fire, true earth.
So
true
that
air?
It's very much like in my world building D&D game. I've talked about it, but it's either elements that have come through from the elemental planes that are through the astral, or that people have gone and got them and extracted them from those planes.
Gotcha. Okay.
But they are true, like they're from the plane. Like true fire is from a plane that is only fire. The entire place there is fire there. If you were to go there, you just instantly die, essentially. And it is magic. Like it is astrally charged. When you take all four elements, you can actually like distill them into physical form and forge them together and into an alloy. It makes a thing called orichalcum, which is the most potent magical substance ever. Most of the time, the really powerful magic items have orichalcum in them.
All right.
So,
I find myself on the
Silver Sail. You are air sailing, so make an air sailing check.
Ooh.
The difficulty is standard, I believe, at 6, but it might have been a 5.
Air sailing, a D12. How often do you get to roll a D12? This is what Dungeons and Dragons is.
Real quick, karma, since for any of your discipline abilities, actually any of your talents, not just your discipline talents, any talent, you can spend a karma point to add a d6 to the roll. And it just adds a d6 on top of everything else.
I'll just roll regular for now. Yep. So if I do take a karma point, it takes my current from down from 5 to 4, that changes the karma dice.
Nope.
No? Okay.
Your karma die is just a d6.
Okay.
That's just what karma does.
I rolled a 10 for my air sailing check.
Alright. So, air sailing is a standard difficulty of 5. The test is to help prepare the airship along with the other crew, blah blah blah. You count as one crew member's success towards the entire boat going forward. Not only that, you beat the number by 5. So just getting the 5 is one success. Beating it by 5 is another.
2 successes.
So you have 2 successes on this roll. You've added 2 to the crew's level, and you guys are going along. You're on with all your companions, which includes Emmy. Emmy is your elementalist. She is an elf. She does know how to air sail, but she doesn't help out too much because she's there, to man the air cannon. So she kind of shirks duty. She's a little bit flighty, a little bit flirty, and kind of aloof. You are coming around a mountain when you come. Coming around a mountain when she comes. You're traversing some mountains, going around, and everyone's kind of on high alert because mountains are great places for other sailors and sky raiders to ply their trade and try to attack. You are taking this course specifically because you need to shave a couple days off. You're late for some shipments, or not a shipment. You are going to an area that some people went missing in, and you're supposed to go out there and see if you can spot them. They were explorers from Thrall, and that's where you're going. Time is of the essence, so instead of taking the normal, nice, safe route in open air, you're going through these mountains. Make me an awareness test, which I believe you do not have.
Don't have awareness.
So that is just a straight perception. So just like any other ability, like in D&D, if you don't have the ability, you default back to the raw attribute.
Let's spend a karma point.
Can't, because it's not a talent. You don't have it.
Yeah, totally. 2.
Can't put your magic into things that are not magical.
Forgot it already.
Where's my photos? Okay. So you got a what? 2. Right, you guys are going along. People are generally on edge, but they're.
I don't see nothing.
But you don't see, like, you're working. You're tying off some things. Emmy is kind of like on the side. She's waiting for a signal to untie something, but it's not something that's going to be needing to untie for a while. So she's just kind of lollygagging, and she's nearby you. When someone calls out, "Above! From above!"
Oh no.
And you look up, and the sun is there, right there. And you see just the barest, thinnest little black spot in the sun. But then you see a whole bunch of other black spots coming from the sun before 4 trolls land on your deck. They are sky raiders.
And how much larger is a troll than
an orc?
Me?
You're 6 to 6.5 to like 7-ish feet tall, depending on the bigger tallness of you, the whatever. They're 8 to 9 feet tall.
Gotcha, so quite a bit bigger than me.
Yep.
And there's 2 you said?
There's 4 all over the boat. There's 1 right near you.
Gotcha.
And they start going in. Like they're going right for fighting.
So do we have to roll for initiative?
So you're going to be rolling for initiative. So
initiative. Forgot where it was. Hang on, I'll find it. There it is. That D10. Ooh, 9. Hey, Nabicus, thanks for the subscribe.
Ooh. Hey, you have Twitch Prime? I thought you said you didn't have Twitch Prime.
Hey, wait.
Thank you.
Oh, you got Prime now?
Ooh.
Shiloh's making a man out of you.
For Prime Days, did you specifically want to get in some of that labor?
It's Prime Day, yep.
Yeah. All right. So, you had a what?
9.
A 9. Emmy had a 6, and the Sky Raider had a 2. So you are reacting super fast to this guy.
All right. Let's whack him with my sword. Is that how that works?
Yes. So you are going to roll your melee weapons. D8, D6, or is it
2d8?
Nice. 10. That's right. So you 2d8, and you need to equal or better his physical defense, and we need to know. Also remember, if you roll the maximum roll, you get to
keep rolling.
Keep rolling. Did you roll any maxes?
I did roll one max.
Okay.
Oh no, sorry, it's a D8. Yeah.
D8 and D6.
Yeah.
Did you roll an 8?
Yep. It's 11 plus.
No.
16 would be the roll then.
16 total.
16
okay,
total.
so he has a physical defense of 9. So you hit the 9, and then at 14 you got an additional success.
So 2 successes.
So you have 2 successes to hit, which is a critical hit essentially. It's an extra hit. I just completely lost what that does. Determine success. You gain a +2 bonus to damage to your damage step for each success. Okay. So you got for each additional success. So the 9 was hit, the 14 is the additional success. So you look at your weapon, which is a step 5.
Yep, damage dice is D5, D10 plus D8.
So it's step 5 plus your strength step. Mm-hmm. So that's 11.
So it's a D10 plus D8.
Yeah, but at 11, you got that additional success, so that puts it to a 13.
Oh.
Remember, everything adds to step, not to your dice.
So now it's a D12 and a D10.
There you go.
This is the damage.
This is the damage.
Make it 15.
Oh. Mm-hmm. All right. I'll let that happen.
What happened?
I forgot to do something, but it's fine. So he has taken 15 damage, actually reduced by armor.
Oh.
So he took some damage that got through the armor, but it did not exceed his wound threshold. So he didn't take a wound, he just took damage. It's still a good hit, solid hit.
So for me, if you make my wound threshold is 8, so if you damage me for 8 plus, I take a wound.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, so his wound threshold is higher than 15.
Correct. Well,
15 or
minus armor.
Gotcha.
So you don't know what his armor is. You don't know how much he took.
Gotcha. I just know I didn't wound him.
You just know you didn't wound him. He's like, "Urgh."
All right.
A scrappy little punk. You don't go next. Emmy does.
I went first.
Sorry, you went first. He doesn't go next. Emmy goes next. He got a 2 because he hit the ground hard apparently. Oh, what?
Twisted my stupid troll ankle.
So she is going to try to cast a spell, and she's going to cast a spell at you.
Great.
What's your spell defense?
It's mystic armor?
No, spell defense.
Spell defense.
So next to your physical defense.
Mystic defense.
Mystic defense, that's
8.
what it's called.
Sorry, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. 8.
8.
She'll spend a karma.
So even though it might be a friendly spell, she still has to beat.
I still have to beat your.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Interesting.
because even to get good spells through, there was a rule. Oh man, now I'm thinking of all these questions to ask Lore Master.
Yeah.
There used to be a rule that you could lower your Mystic Defense voluntarily if you wanted to get a beneficial spell, but it lowered it for the entire turn. So if people were casting offensive spells at you, they would go against that.
Interesting.
But I don't see that rule in the new edition. 6, 7, 12, 16. So you're 8.
Yep.
So 8 to it's every increment of 5. So she didn't make. She didn't make 2. So she got 1 extra success with her spell. And with extra successes on spellcasting, you can modify the spell in different ways. Every spell has its own description of what it does. Ooh,
so what I'm seeing right here is that the main difference is dice type change quite a bit.
Yes.
And that
you're always rolling different
defenses,
dice.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It gives you a purpose to having all these dice. 'Cause, we collect dice over here. Buckets of dice.
So I had said in the beginning that they set out to make Earthdawn as a design choice to justify all of the meta of D&D in lore. Like, talking about level. Why can someone take 100 arrows to the chest and not wince? Why can't a person cast a spell of a higher level, and how would you talk about that? Can't you cast Fireball? Oh no, it's beyond my capabilities.
Yeah.
Now you can say, no, it's a higher circle than I have attained.
Gotcha.
When they came with this, they said, and we want to make a game that uses the D12, because D&D
use it.
barely.
Some damage roll.
In AD&D, it was nothing. Like now, the longsword can use a D12, I think, or one of the great weapons uses D12. Some of the great weapons, but they're like, we want to have this D12 in here. We want to make every die important in the spectrum. All right, so she kind of slides kind of next to you and snaps her finger, and a flame jets out and hits your sword, and your sword blade ignites into fire.
Nice.
So, for the next 6, 7, 8, the next 8 rounds, your sword is going to add a d6 to the damage dice. So it's not increasing the step; it's just putting a d6 into your damage pool.
Up to damage.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. All right.
Now it goes. The troll.
The music's gotten very epic.
Dun, 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 dun.
Can I see Earthdawn GM screen?
Yeah. And you have a player's handbook here. I have this one. So if you want to look the stuff up or poke through it.
It's like the screens.
Yeah.
This is very nice. I don't recognize this artwork, but some of the drawings in the book look familiar to me. I might have to look it up later.
There it is. What is an 8-step? This is the dice.
2d6. should know all of my skills here. I should just look at that. Oh.
6, 79, 10, 11. So every die that hits the max result always scales, so you re-roll it and add it. So he just healed himself for 11. So he just like, you hit him and he's like, oh, scrappy little punk. Ah! And you see the blood that's coming out from his wound starts sizzling and burning, and then it cauterizes itself and kind of burns away, and he's got now a scar there, like a already scabbed over scar that's nice and cleaned and cauterized and all that fun stuff.
Just have to hit him harder.
Alright, this game is old school. It does not use set initiatives. You re-roll initiative at the beginning of every round.
He hasn't gone yet.
That was his action.
Oh, was it healing himself?
Healing
Okay.
himself.
So initiative again is D10. Alright. Like this neon 10. Ooh, 6. I think really the most confusing part about this is paying attention to which dice to use and how they change as you go along.
And also, initiative does explode as well. So
Oh,
if you
okay.
got a max.
Yeah, 10, go again.
Oof.
Ooh. Wow.
20.
Yeah.
She
That's
got a
fair.
2, and what are you?
6.
6. So,
20 goes first, I think.
yeah, the 20 goes first, then you, then Emmy. So, yep, he's gonna, like, smack you.
Bring it. I'm actually wearing some pretty good armor, and I'm an orc. It's Avengers music.
Let's say, I think I have this. D8, D6. Alright, D8, D6, I need to get a 9 or better.
For physical defense?
Yep. Uh, 4 ain't gonna cut it.
Nope.
So he's swing and a miss.
So my physical defense, so I need to add my physical armor to that?
No.
It's just defense.
Defense is being hit, armor takes off damage.
That's right. Okay, cool. So now it's my turn.
Battle in the high skies!
Alright, I got my flaming sword.
Alright, roll to hit with your melee weapons.
Flaming sword. 9.
That will hit him, but he is going to use a void blow.
Dang it. So he needs to roll what to avoid?
So what did you roll to hit him?
9.
So he needs to roll a 9 or better to get out of the way.
That is better. It's 11. Yeah.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So he takes 1 strain, 1 point of damage to avoid all your damage.
Yeah.
He actually blocks you with a shield.
Boo. My flaming sword. That's 1 of 8 turns down after Emmy goes.
So Emmy's on 2, so you're next.
I just went, that was my attack.
Oh yeah, sorry. Like it's confusing with the initiative instead of how we used to do it, how we do it in D&D. Okay, so Emmy, she steps back and reaches into this. She has a fairly large shoulder bag. She reaches in and pulls out a handful of dirt, and she tosses it up into the air and points at him. The earth flies into the air and then clumps up into a crystalline dart and streaks down at him. Earth darts!
Earth dart.
Yeah, this is the standard elementalist damage spell. That's their magic missile. Fun little spell called Earth darts. D8, D6 to hit against his mystic defense. His mystic defense is 7.
It's a 9.
4,
No,
5,
6.
6. And she misses.
Dang it. So initiative again, right? Initiative.
So it is initiative again.
Well, that went way farther away than I thought it would. That was a perfect shot.
Oh. There you go.
10. Oh.
15. Whew. Emmy got a 9, he got an 8. So you, Emmy, him.
fire sword him again. 2d8. Oh, son of a bitch. A critical failure on both dice.
There is rules for that. So there is a fumble rule. It has to be on dice rolls that have more than one die, because it would suck if it was. If all the dice result come up ones, then something bad happens.
That's what happened.
That's what happened. I'm not going to worry about it this game, because,
Just
more advanced stuff. But just know there is critical failures in this game that are based off multiple die rolls, all being one. All being ones. So Emmy is going to Earth Darts again. She's not happy that she missed. She pulls out another clump of earth. 7. That was a 6 and a 1, but 7 hits.
Sweet.
Barely. So Earth Darts do...
It's no michelada, but
right.
It'll do.
Willpower plus 3 physical damage. So her willpower is 7 step. That takes it to a 10 step. 10 step is... Did you have something up there?
2d8. So, Drug Dealing Monkey, we're playing Earthdawn. We just made a character. The main difference between D&D and this is that your circles of power, your steps per level, increase and change what type of dice you roll. So some of your rolls are 2d8, some are 2d6. I have one that's a d10 plus a d8. Things change as we go along. And I am an orc air sailor fighting off trolls that just jumped onto the boat. I'm having a hard time hitting this one.
Alright, so the other effect of Earth Darts, besides damage, which he didn't do a lot of damage, it lowers your physical armor. It makes it less effective. So his hide armor now is like hardened and brittle. So every time you attack him now, you can get more damage through.
So initiative again.
It's him.
Oh, that's right, he hasn't gone yet.
He hasn't gone yet.
Oh,
he is currently on an airship flying past mountains when basically Sky Vikings, they're called Sky Raiders, have jumped down on board their ship and are now fighting with the sailors. He is an air sailor, like you said. Melee weapons 2, 9. 9 is d8, d6.
So dark. 3?
6. So your physical defense is 9, so he misses you. Alright, initiative.
What's initiative? 10, 18, but I'm supposed to be doing -1 of my initiative for my armor. I forgot about that, so it's 17.
You already have that factored in.
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh, I did, yeah.
Yeah, so that's your...
So 18 then.
Remember, it's not... The negative is not to your roll, it's to the step.
Gotcha.
And you already have it calculated. So, Emmy has a 1, and he has a 6. So you go first,
all right,
then
attack for
he
real.
does,
Come
then
on
the
now.
Sky Raider, then the Elementalist.
You know, I'm gonna add a d6 for my karma.
Okay, you want to get a good hit through.
So I reduce my karma from 5 to 4, right?
Correct. Now, should be a current karma.
Yeah, current. That's 4.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Alright, so... Fucking A, 7. That hits, right?
7 does not hit.
Jesus.
No max rolls?
No.
No. And for your karma, make sure you have maximum as 5, so that you always know what you go back to. So, you missed with a 5. He is going to strike at you.
I know, right?
D6.
Notoriously bad rolls.
Yeah, in a game that's like, there's no bonuses to a die, you don't have that sliding scale of... It's just, everything is just increases your probability of hitting, not the actual, like, level to hit. 6 doesn't hit you. Like, there's 2 neonates, novice Sky Raider and a novice air sailor, like...
Banging our weapons like we're acting like
we're fighting. Are they looking?
We're fighting for real, promise.
Okay, Emmy. Emmy is going to Earth Darts again. Why not?
6.
6. Nope. His Mystic Defense is a little bit higher than that. Initiatives.
Jeez.
Once you get good at like knowing the steps and what you're rolling. Drug Dealing Monkey is
Nick from Hot Sauce Nick.
You not at Thirsties right now?
6.
Okay, so he got a 6, she got a 7. So what'd you get?
1.
So she goes first, Earth Dartsing again.
Earth Darts.
Earth Darts, Earth Darts.
Is that a real spell? I don't know. Is that a real fucking A, dude?
8 hits.
Hey. Oh, that's sweet, Drug Dealing Monkey.
Aww. That's true. I mean, Shane is there. That is 10. And a 10 is 2d8. Come on. That's pretty good. 6 plus 7 is 13. So he takes... his mystic armor? No, his physical armor, but it's 2 less. What did I do? 13?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he has -2 armor again for another 2 rounds. So every time she hits him, it extends the duration a couple more.
They're called shit-chaladas.
Shit-chaladas. So that was her. Then it's him. He's like, now he's starting to look over at her, like thinking maybe he's attacking the wrong person.
Yeah, he's definitely attacking the wrong person.
So he's going to swing one more time at you, but you really feel like this is probably the last time. If you don't hit him again, or you don't like taunt, then he's going to switch.
Oh, taunt.
Yep, D8, D6. Ah, there we go.
There it is.
11, 12, 13, 14 to hit you. You have a 9, so that is a hit with a success. Do you want to avoid blow?
Yes.
Okay, so take a strain. So just take a point of damage. So avoid blow is a reaction. It's a free action. Anytime you're hit, you can do it up to as many attacks in a round as you have it in ranks. Which you have at rank 2, right?
I do.
So you can do 2 attacks a round you can avoid.
11. Oh, wait. Ooh, so 19.
Yep, you beat his 14.
Yeah,
That's, so you
23.
Ching, parry his blow away or dodge, whichever you prefer.
I roll on the floor and ride.
And that means your turn.
Alright. Same thing, melee attack with my flaming wolf sword, because I still got 5 more rounds.
Alright.
Come on, come on, come on. There we go, 14.
That hits
Thank God.
with an extra success. He is going to try to avoid blow. No. 2d6.
14, right?
Yep. And he fails.
Sweet.
So you did an extra point of damage because he took that strain, essentially.
Nice. So now it's a d10 and a d8.
So d10, d8.
And
yours.
plus 6 for my fire.
Plus d6.
There we go, 4, 6, 10.
So 10, his armor is weakened because of the earth darts, so you get some damage through.
Sweet. Finally. I took 5 combat rounds.
And none of those rolls exploded?
No. I'm down 3 rounds on my flaming sword at an 8.
Alright. Oh, it was the rabid horse that just kicked your guys' ass. Alright. So that is initiative again.
Oh,
Initiative.
initiative.
So she got an 8 and he got a 23.
That beats 5.
Yeah. So him, her, you.
Taunt is a free action. Can I taunt him now?
Is taunt a free action?
It's a SI. It's a
No, sustained.
No, there's sustained as SU.
Oh, simple. It's a simple action. You have to be on your turn to use a simple.
Oh, okay, so it's a bonus action. Yeah.
You could have done that on your turn last time.
Yeah.
So let's go back because we didn't think. So you're gonna hit and you're gonna taunt to see if you can keep him on you.
I got a 6.
His social defense is what? Why is that so high?
What is his social defense?
9?
Well, because he can't be intimidated very easily. He feels the love of his troll friends. That's okay. 6.
So that fails.
Yeah.
But you just hit him as well and put damage through. So he's gonna stay on you.
Fine. Finally got a hit in.
Does that cost a strain? The taunt.
It does.
So take a strain, take 1 damage because you taunted. Alright. His attack is 2d8. It's a 10, yeah.
7.
Your defense is a 9, so that's a miss.
A lot of missing here.
That was him. Then it's
Emmy next, and then me.
Yep, Earth Darts.
Earth darts.
Earth Darts.
Earth darts.
Earth Darts. Pop Tarts.
Earth darts.
Popcorn.
7.
11, 12. So that's a hit with a bonus. I'm pretty sure it just... Oh, it decreases... Lengthens the time of effect that his armor is going to be weakened. 10 is a 2d8. Can I get a stage here? No, a 1
6.
and a 5 for 6. His mystic armor is 2, so he takes 4.
This guy's just, we're barely scratching
Ching,
this
ching. And then, like, with this game, there is a volatility to it because you can start staging your dice rolls and get like a 42 and just drop someone in one shot.
And likewise, too, we haven't been hurt almost at all. Like, actually, both of my damage points are from my own strain. Yeah. My turn?
It is your turn.
All right, let's do it again while we still got this flaming sword going on. 11.
That hits. Not an extra success, but it hits.
So D10, D8, D6.
Come on, some stages.
11, 17.
Oh, damn it. I was going to avoid blow, but I didn't declare it. 13.
He was distracted.
He's getting double teamed. Alright.
Initiatives?
Yes.
Alright, come on, come on. 8's better than fucking 5.
8 and 5.
Do we need to roll off for that, or do I go first? Because default.
You go first, default.
Alright, let's see.
Actually, you attack at the same time.
Alright, so...
he's not attacking. He is doing that fire blood again to heal himself.
Alright, so I'm gonna hit him anyway.
Okay.
10.
Was that an 8?
That was a 3.
So 10 will hit, but he's going to avoid blow. $2d6. He fails.
Nice.
Alright, before you roll damage, I need to do his fire heal.
Alright.
Because since it's happening at the same time, there's a weird thing going on here. So fire blood, 2 toughness.
Sorry,
6,
everybody watching.
8.
This combat phase is
It's just
fairly mundane. You can't hit each other. 4.
That's terrible. Okay.
God damn it, dude. 12. Jesus.
12 minus 4 is 8. You knock him unconscious.
Thank
He
God.
falls to the deck. You see that most of the others, so the Sky Raider ship has come down and around, and there's 2 Sky Raiders jumping off the side of your vessel. as they're like just getting too ganged up on back to their boat. There's another one laying unconscious on the deck. So the fight's kind of over, and you've got a charged flame cannon, which makes the Sky Raiders think twice. They're hoping to shock and awe and overbowl you, just roll over you on the deck, and that didn't happen. You repelled them, and they're making back for the mountain peak.
I still had 4 rounds left on my flame sword.
Don't set the sails on fire, Emmy says.
Well, that was only 5 combat rounds, so that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, pretty fast, especially when you start knowing, like, oh, I roll this for this, and blah, blah, blah.
So the only thing that I really have to think about in this is how your dice are staged based on what's going on currently.
And the fact that everything, every penalty, every bonus, every modifier is affecting the dice you roll.
It's a lot of quick math. It's interesting. I do like the use of all the dice, though. Like you said, what's the point of a D12 if you're never going to use it? Why is it in the stack?
Yeah.
Right here now I have 2 of everything, and I almost feel like I don't have enough. You know?
You at least need 2 of everything with an extra D6.
Mm-hmm.
The only one I think you don't need 2 of is the D20. Like, you only ever roll one of those.
I haven't had to use this at all. I think that only shows up when you get to, like, 12.
It's pretty high up there.
Yeah, D20 shows up at 19 the first time.
Yeah. Starting at 3, like, so step 3 in this game, the value of 3 is the D4. The 2 steps below that are D4 minus 1 and D4 minus 2. Mm-hmm. But if you know the progression of dice by their faces, that's how this game goes. It's D4 to D6, D6 to D8, D10, D12. Then it splits 2D6, D8, D6, D8, D8, D10, D6, D8, D10, D10. Then it's D12, D10. But instead of going D12, D10, instead of going to 2D12, that's when it goes to
D20.
D20, 2D6.
Gotcha.
So.
All right. So the Silver Sail has successfully run the
Sky Raiders.
Sky Raiders. Damn, it was right here.
They're sailing. They're the Sky Raiders.
Sky Raiders.
Off, and you can continue on your journey.
Perfect. Now let's see something big.
You want to do another... Well, we only have 30 minutes left. All right. So I'm actually not going to do something big, because I want to show you like how quickly and how volatile this game can become. Okay. So there's not many things that are threats in the game. They put a lot of stuff. You can fight normal stuff. You can fight other people, like he just did. The Troll Sky Raider he fought is the Troll Sky Raider basic character from the templates. Like, when you look at the character, this dude is the picture of the Sky Raider, kind of a thing. So it's just a normal Circle 1 Sky Raider is what he just fought. He fought another level 1 character.
It took 6 rounds with 2 of us playing against it. So.
2 of them, yeah. Two Circle 1 characters versus 1. So now we're going to look at a more supernatural threat, and there's not many that are for first circle. Most... Like, even the most basic supernatural threats are a higher threat level. So, with that said, we're about to have a little fun. So, you find the missing explorer, like, camp. From that camp, it's up in the mountains, you and a couple other crew, and Emmy is with you, made your way into a cave system, and you realized once you got into this cave system, there was a cair up here. Someone went up into the mountains and built a cair into a little rock, area, like at the tip of the mountain, or not at the tip, but pretty high up there. And it's been long since opened. You don't know exactly when, but you think these explorers were obviously going to explore this cair and see what they get out of it, and you're not going to get your job done until you find out what happened to them. So you go in, you and your crew are exploring different areas. It's a big area. It's not a huge cair, but it's still a good network of tunnels and open areas. So it's just you and Emmy, and you've come around a corner, and you've found one of the missing explorers. He just doesn't look very good.
Uh-oh. Is he a zombie?
No. They don't have what you would call... They don't have anything called a zombie in this game. Instead, they have something much more fun. And you'd still think it's a zombie. It's pretty much what it is. So here they are. You just have one of these, and I don't know if I can get this close enough, but they look like zombies. You know from your horror knowledge, or you can roll your horror knowledge.
Horror knowledge. 7.
Yeah, sure, why not? No explosions on that?
Nope.
These are pretty low level. So, this is a cadaver man. So, cadaver men are creatures that have died either in or around or because of horror taint. Or horrors can also make these. If they find dead bodies, they can just taint them and bring them back. The biggest problem with them is that their souls are still half there. So they're still kind of the person they were. And they can even communicate sometimes or talk. The only problem is they can only feel one thing, and that's pain. So just existing hurts them, and they normally get driven insane.
And there's no bringing them back from this. So even though they're saying stuff that would sound sympathetic, like, oh, please help me, like...
And this one has been driven mad. So he's just sitting there, and he looks up at you, and he's like, and he kind of just shambles after you.
Do we have to roll initiative? You
do have to roll initiative. So this is a cadaver man versus 2 first circle characters, an elementalist and a air sailor.
So 8 for my initiative.
All right, so she is a D10, and they are very low. What is a 5 step?
Ooh, I believe it's a D6, but it is a D8.
Okay. So she got an 8, it got a 2. So it's shambling after you, like up to you. You have all the time in the world to go at it. So go for it.
Well, so we haven't done anything extra, so I'm going to go ahead and melee damage at it again.
So you move up, strike.
I'm assuming there's some reason.
Oh, let Amy go first. She'll flame weapon.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So she'll give you the flame weapon.
It's for 8 turns if she's successful.
Except for the fact that it's still conscious of itself in a lot of ways. Also, it does another thing later on that makes it worse than a zombie. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
6, 7...
So 13. 14.
Yeah, 13.
13.
So your mystic defense is... 8. That's an additional success. So that increases the duration by 1 round, so that's 5... 6, 7, 8. So 8 rounds of flame weapon again.
Gotcha. All right. 7.
Its physical defense is 9, so that does not hit.
All right, so it's its turn. This is a single cadaver man, right?
This is a single cadaver man.
Oh boy.
Yeah. All right. So he's coming at you just with his, like, pretty much the tips of his fingers have been scratched and worn away. All the flesh is gone. So this is the bone protruding that has been, like, sharpened from scratching on things. So they're, like, pretty much little claw fingers he's swiping at you with.
Like a reverse Wolverine. I could be a cadaver man right now.
Yikes.
Burp.
I gotta see something real quick. One great thing about this game, say from the GM aspect, is when it gives you enemies, when it gives you, like, you're going through the creature area, one thing can have multiple entries at various levels. So you can fight an ape, like or a horse or a tiger or whatever, and it'll give you, like, this is a threat to a 3rd circle, but here it is at a 5th circle level, and here it is at a... So it can give you different levels if you're looking for, you know, that kind of spread of challenges for your group.
Now that we've played a couple things too, I can see that there's something to be said for a well-made book, a well-made thing. Like when we were playing The Expanse, and it had an explanation for every single thing everywhere you find it.
Yes,
like
that
if you ran into
was...
a gun, but you're talking about a sword fighter, the sword fighter's gun tactics are written right there. Then you can also look up gun, you could also look up sword. It's very simplistic idea of what I was talking, or what actually happens. But yeah.
Let's see one thing. Okay, that's what I thought. All right. Step 10 is 2d8. It got a 10 to hit you. Your defense is a 9. So, kill zombie, kill cadaver man. So it hits you. Do you want to avoid blow?
Yes.
So take a strain. Heal your damage from before. So take 1 strain, and you need to beat a 10 on your avoid blow. Is that like a 40k, or where'd you even find that?
It's just in the generics. 2d8, I gotta beat a 10.
Are you following any other channels?
Nope. 8. Can I add karma to it post?
Not after.
No? Okay, cool. I have to declare. Alright, declaration is important.
In this one.
Does my current go back to where it was? Did it refill my karma?
Yes.
Okay, so. Right.
Every day, I should explain that. When you spend karma, every day when you wake up, or actually you can do it at any time during the day, but once a day, you can perform a karma ritual. And every class has a different karma ritual, and you can customize your karma ritual to be something personal to you or different than what it says. But when you perform your karma ritual, it automatically succeeds. It used to be in the original game, it was a roll, and you had to like get a good roll and all this, but now it's automatically succeeds and you get all your karma back. So once a day, as long as you have 10 minutes, you can do your ritual and get all your karma back.
Perfect. Alright, so that's that.
So that's that. He hit you.
That's the end of that turn.
Well, no. You haven't gone yet. You just try to avoid his blow. So I'm hitting you. What's step 12?
12 is 2d10. Jesus.
That's his damage.
Ugh.
Six
6
plus
5.
So 11. So take off your armor. So your armor is 5, so you took 6 damage.
Perfect.
Okay, what's your wound threshold?
Wound threshold is 8.
Okay.
So I'm 1 away from wound.
No. He has to do that in 1 shot.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Jesus. Alright. Now it's initiative again.
Yes. So to get a wound, you have to take your wound threshold or more in 1 attack. 9? 9 will hit.
Oh, sorry, that was my attack. I forgot about that.
Wait, you've already gone. You missed.
Yeah, so I was rolling initiative.
Okay. Emmy hasn't gone yet.
Oh, okay.
So.
I'm way ahead.
Oh, no. She did. She gave your sword flame. You went.
Both got first, so that's the end of the first round of combat.
Yeah, so that's the end of the
7 more left for my flame sword.
Yes.
Alright.
Yeah, we definitely should. I love this game.
Yeah.
I love this game.
I like this.
I love the lore and history around it.
The lore is pretty neat. I like the idea of fantasy vaults. That's kind of neat. It gives you a reason to, like you said, it gives you a reason to go into a dungeon. It gives you a reason to find isolated events. This constant dice change is interesting. It keeps you kind of paying attention. It does take a little away from the flow, I have to say, but once you get better at it, I'm sure it's quick.
Yeah. Once you play it again, like once you play it for 2-3 sessions, you will automatically know the step numbers.
Yeah.
You'll just have them memorized, especially that block of numbers that all your skills are in.
Yeah.
It got a 6, and he got a 5.
Oh.
What is step 5?
9.
Is a D8. D4, D6,
5 is
D8.
D8, so it's D4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 2d6, d8, d6, 2d8.
Alright, so Emmy got a 5, it got a 6, you got a 9, so it's you, it, Emmy.
Alright, so let's hit it again. Let's try it one more time.
Go for it. Oh, you spend karma?
No, it's too late now. 13.
That hits, not an extra success.
That's alright. So damage is now d10, d8 plus d6. d8, d10, d6. Come on, something good. Damn it, dude. 12.
Like, my god.
11.
He's still wearing
11.
the padded armor of the explorer.
11 was the total thing.
So 11 minus 2 for armor is 9. His wound threshold is 10.
Still hurt him though, right?
Yep.
So now I roll damage. Oh, that was the damage.
That was damage.
Sorry, that was damage. That's right. All right.
So it goes. Hit you with its claws. 10 is 2d8. 10 step, 2d8. Oh.
Interesting.
8.
14.
14.
So 18 altogether. Yeah, that beats a 9.
So do you want to avoid blow?
Yes.
You think you can hit an 18?
No. Oh, I can't with a 2d8. I can't even get that high.
Yeah, you can. You can explode.
Oh, I can. Oh, that's right.
And you can add karma to it if you want.
Let's add 2 karma.
No, you can only spend one per.
One karma then.
Yeah. One per roll. You can.
One per roll. Everybody knows the rules.
One per roll, but you can spend as many in a turn as you want. So you can spend it on the avoid, you can spend it on the attack, you can spend it on the taunt.
8's not going to do it. So there's some low rolls.
You might want to look at some other dice.
Yeah.
Alright, so it hits you. Its damage step is 12, which was 2d10. 11. Oof. So minus 5, so you take 6 again. Whack.
That ain't no good.
Emmy goes. Earth darts.
I'm more than half dead.
Earth darts or something else. Nope, she's gonna cast a spell on you.
Oh, a spell on me?
Yep.
Cast a spell on you. 8.
8 is your mystic defense?
8.
I got it. Alright. So she she blows into her hand and then grabs your shirt tail, and then all of a sudden your clothing and your armor puff up with air. You now have air armor, which gives you +3 armor points, and it's going to last for 7 rounds. As you're all kind of puffed up, and that's an extra barrier it has to strike through.
Another round. Alright, so initiative.
Initiative.
Come on, 1. Woo!
Ooh.
Good 2.
That's Emmy.
Sweet.
16, 2 for it.
And then I got a 1.
Oh god. So Emmy.
2.
Okay, so she's gonna Earth Darts it.
Yeah. Earth darts.
Earth Darts! It's
8 plus 5 is already 13, but 8 goes again, so 15.
15, its Mystic Defense is a 9, so that was with an additional success, which extends the duration of the negative armor. The damage is 10, which is 2d8. Yes, Emmy is an elementalist. 4, 5, 6, that's... it's only got 2 armor, so it takes 4 damage. And the most important thing is it gets -2 armor for the next 3 rounds? 2 rounds. So that means it has 0 armor at the moment.
So what I'm learning from this game right now is that I'm writing it here on the piece of paper, but we might need to have round markers, counters for things, armors and negatives. And
a lot of times you would get another set of dice, and you'd okay, I have 8 turns, and then every turn you go and hit all your turn dice.
It seems like specifically with this game, it might make sense at the end of each round, that concludes a round, take counters down. Yeah.
This is one thing, old Dungeons and Dragons used to be like this as well. So everything had, for the next 3 rounds, for the next 2 rounds, for the next 7 rounds, and it was a lot of bookkeeping, and the new D&D, 4th and 5th, both went out and said, no more bookkeeping on time, everything should be either end of next turn or a very long time.
Makes sense.
So, it's always increments of 1 minute,
1 minute,
or
10 minutes,
1 turn,
hours,
1 minute, 10 minutes,
Makes sense. 10 minutes is pretty much an entire session.
It's an entire combat.
Yeah.
It's
but 8 hours is the rest of the day.
All combats that day.
That sort of thing. Yeah. Interesting. All right, cool.
Mage armor.
Yeah.
All right, so that was Emmy, so it's going to go. It attacks at a 10, which is 2d8.
Me or it?
She's attacking you.
All right.
No, it's attacking you. Ooh. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that gets me.
15, 20.
Oh, yeah,
You're going to try to avoid blow?
Yeah. Jesus.
That's going to be a lot of additional damage if you don't beat this. Do you want to spend karma or not?
What am I trying to beat?
20.
Fuck yeah.
You need to get... It hit you with a 20, so you need to beat it with a 20.
Oh, come on, 8s.
There's an 8.
So 15, 16, 17... Oh, 21.
You did it. Wow. So close. Yeah, you're like, barely parry or get out of the way. It's like, "Rah!" But you only took 1 damage instead of, whatever his hit was going to be.
Right.
All right, your go.
Hit it with my flaming sword. Let's fucking throw a karma in there. We're gonna do something about this. All right. 6, 4, fuck me, 7?
No.
Damn it.
That's some piss poor rolls in your melee combat.
Yep.
Initiative.
Let's see, end of the turn. Where are we at? There we go. Damn. 9 again. Damn. It's 3 9s in a row.
It got a 1, Emmy got a 4. So you, Emmy, it.
Let's hit this thing again.
Hit it this time.
Fuck me, 7.
No.
The same thing as I rolled last time.
Emmy, Earth darts it. Earth darts.
Sorry for those watching at home where I can't hit anything.
Yeah. I'm like, oh wow. So her Earth darts definitely don't go off with a double 1. She fumbles. Then it. So 2d8 to strike. 9 hit you. You want to avoid blow?
So let's take that stone real quick.
And you just need to get a 9.
9. Fuck yeah.
Okay. So you avoid blow.
So 14 plus this 24. Yeah.
I don't think avoid blows has any additional effect. So.
But misses. Initially.
Yeah, it misses. Noonish.
Alright. Timers go down.
It's super epic fight, or just trading blows. It's weird to go back to a every round initiative.
Alright. Ah, fuck. 8. Damn it. Oh, that's her.
That's her. So 16, 6, so it's her, you, it. Earth darts.
Dude, this fight's ridiculous. It's supposed to be exemplary too, and we just keep like miss.
6 will miss.
Chop
Come
at
on,
it again.
come on, just hit it.
13.
13 hits.
Thank God.
Alright. Get some scaling up here, come on.
I know. Alright, so we'll get a D10, D8, and D6. D10, D8.
It has its armor back. She hasn't been able to hit it with earth darts in a while.
Alright, fuck me.
Any?
5, no, 9, no scale.
So it took 7.
7. Still heard it at least.
Okay. Then it. 2d8. 4 misses. Noonish.
Dang, another
Like, it's been a long time since I've said noonish. And like that's the thing you'd say every turn in D&D. Noonish.
6. 5 and a 1.
2. So you, it, her.
Alright, let's hit it again. 11.
11 hits.
Alright.
Get some damage in there.
Fuck. Let's do it this time.
How much time do you have left on your sword for flame?
3 more turns. Okay. Including this one. So let's make it a 4 or 5. 5 damage. Minus 2.
5. Minus 2. You rolled a 1, 1, 2.
Yeah. These pink dice might not be mine.
Yeah, you need to.
I'll roll blue next time.
You need to get some new dice. Use Savras.
Yeah, rub my bad luck up on the rest of our group.
Alright. Then it was it. 2d8. For 20?
Yeah, that gets
No,
so
18.
Let's do avoid blow.
Avoid blow? You need to get an
hurts.
18. D12 again.
12
2d10.
2d10.
9. Minus your 5, so you take 4.
Plus 3 is I have my physical armor on.
Oh, yep.
So it's actually only going to give me 1 damage.
Yeah, 1 damage through. That's nice. All that air armor plus your hide. Or your boiled leather.
No, it's her.
Now it's her. Earth darts. 9. That's exactly what she needs to hit.
Jesus.
10 is 2d8, right?
Mm-hmm.
5, 6. It takes 4 and then loses its armor.
Alright, initiatives.
Initiative. Let's see where it's at.
Yeah.
I love, like, so the cadavermen, being the zombie-ish things they are, they don't have an unconscious rating, they just have a death rating. Because they'll never go unconscious. D8, D10. So, it's going on a 5, she's going on a 3.
I got an 8.
Go.
Alright, let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, come on, dude. 5.
Okay. So, that was the hit.
Yeah.
Let's just say you hit.
Alright.
So I want to, there's something that needs to happen for something else to happen. So go ahead and roll damage.
Alright. So I'm still doing the 8, 10, and 6. Which is a fucking 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it has no armor. So that's its wound threshold. Yep. So you did 10. So you hit its wound threshold. When it goes ballistic, like you hit it and it's wounded, it's like and just goes at you like 28 days later level zombie this time. So here's a couple things that happen. So that was you, and then it goes. Okay. So first off, it has fury. So what fury does is it gets stronger the more hurt it is. So instead of taking wound penalties, it gets wound bonuses.
Great.
So by getting a wound, it now has +1 to all its abilities, all its steps. Secondly, it gets 3 additional attacks in addition to its 1.
Oh, Jesus.
So it's going to hit you 4 times now.
Alright.
Its normal attack is a 10, but now it's an 11, which is D10, D8.
11 is D10, D8, yeah.
9.
Alright, so I'm going to avoid blow.
Yep.
9, right?
Yep.
That does not work. Alright, cool.
Okay. So let's just go ahead and roll the other attacks. 10, you can avoid blow that one, but this is the last one you can avoid blow.
9, shit.
7 doesn't hit you.
Does not hit me.
And 8 does not hit you. So it hits you twice. Its damage step is now 13. So instead of 2d10, it's d12 d10. Let me whip out my d12.
This is for its first 2 of 4 attacks.
No, that was all. I rolled all 4.
Oh, okay.
But it hit you with 2. Whoa. Where's my d12? Oh, it's right here. So d12, d10. So it's doing 2 of these to you. 14. Now you minus all your armor from it. So you have 8 armor. So 6.
6. So hang on. Alright.
And wow, 6. So you take nothing.
Alright.
All right. It's going crazy. She's gonna Earth darts it.
Now I see why these are tough.
Yep.
I'll take one thing. Oh.
She hits it with a 14. That is with an additional success. It's doing 2d8. 10 is 2d8, right?
Yes.
9. It has no armor at the moment, so it takes 9. 6. Okay. Initiative. Don't go last.
I'm not gonna go last. I know, right? Oh, 6. Next
5, 8. She goes first. She's
Okay.
Earth dartsing. 9. That exactly hits. 2d8 damage.
7.
7. Takes 7.
Alright. Go attack with a 2d8. I got a 12.
That hits.
Still on the same damage. Scale something. Fuck off, 6.
It dies.
Oh.
So, yeah, that is a Cadaver Man. That is a threat for a third circle group.
Fuck. And there's just
And that's novice. Like, that's just, it's still a novice challenge. So, it will gain, every time you wound it, well, the first time you wound it, it goes into its rage. For every wound it has, up to 4, it gets that as a bonus instead of a penalty. So it can get up to +4 to all its steps. A whole bunch of stuff will trigger its rage prematurely. There's a Nethermancer spell called Pain that will automatically put him into fury, into rage. If you do any type of fear effect on it, it just goes into rage. If you enrage it, there's an ability to make someone go crazy, and obviously that'll do it on him. Misdirect and Provoke, those two abilities or those combat options or talents that do that, like Taunt, will both trigger his rage automatically.
Oh, so if I had taunted it, I would have raged.
It'd have been gone into rage.
So
Yeah.
actually, I didn't die.
He didn't die.
I also got a leg up though. You let me attack once to see.
I wanted you to see, but you are actually killing the Cadaver Man exactly how you want to kill a Cadaver Man. You never want to get a high damage roll.
So
you want to nickel it and dime it to death.
Interesting.
Because if you get that, 4 attacks around, is insane.
That's too much. So. Interesting. So so that's Earthdawn.
That's Earthdawn.
Yeah.
So what was your name? Aru?
Arab.
Arab lives.
Arab lives. I lived one. I made it.
Made it.
So this is. I guess I'll close it out.
Yeah, close it out.
This is Wiley versus Mitch. We try to do this on Tuesdays as much as possible, where we do a new system every week. We've done Vampire the Masquerade. We did the new Expanse series. Now we're doing Earthdawn, which I've heard of but never played before. We get to see how the dice get used. Pretty interesting. So we're always going to build a character. We're always going to do some lore. We're always going to do some combat or action. Usually you try to kill me. He did try to kill me. Didn't work this time. I'm good to go.
I didn't So one of the things I didn't do is there are horrors. They're the big bads, and there's lesser horrors which I could have thrown at them, and it would have just obliterated them. Things like worm skulls or bloat forms, and those are the lowest level. Then there's all the way up to the higher level ones, all the way to Vergigorm himself, which is when he was in the Scourge and allowed in, he was a super powerful horror. He hunted the great dragons. He was after them specifically.
Gotcha.
And the thing is, a lot of it would have been lost because they're supposed to be very subtle, very long-term bad guys. Like, that you have to deal with their corruption, you have to deal with their influence, them marking people, it's all that kind of stuff. So just attacking it, it would have just it has a really cool ability. I kind of wanted to use it on him, called Skin Shift. Where have you ever done the thing? No, the horrors. Have you ever done this? Right? Imagine that all over your body. All your flesh wants to go different directions, and it's like this thing ringing you, and it just snaps its fingers, and you do that, and all your flesh turns around on your body. Yeah. So
Indian burn.
Yeah, I didn't want to use that. So it held it for I'm not letting that one go through. I didn't want to use that term.
All right. So anyway, this has been Wiley vs. Mitch, but we do our regular long-term Dragonborn campaign on Wednesdays at 9:30 Arizona time, which is currently Pacific, so you can find us then. We also do a semi-regular Sunday when we can. Wiley vs. Mitch is usually on Tuesday, but we pop in for board games and impromptus all the time. So hit that follow, find us, and see Wiley vs. next week.
Bye.
See you tomorrow. Bye.